is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Roby Ann Williams.
In Nationwide news at this hour, multi-million-dollar investigation underway into allegations of organized crime and corruption at the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation.
Mark Barnett is still earning millions of dollars as president of the NWC.
The arrangement continues nearly a year and a half after the process to terminate his employment started.
Financial analyst and chartered accountant Dennis Chung says a tax on imported food would burden Jamaicans.
Putting a tax on food items would increase prices because the main issue that we face importing goods is not necessarily because we don't have taxes on items, it's productivity.
Jamaicans for Justice has thrown its support behind a proposal to amend the Sexual Offences Act to decriminalize sex between consenting minors.
And ensuring that our children, specifically our boy children, are not being brought before an adversarial court system.
In news from the rest of the world, top Venezuelan opposition leader is arrested as dissidents seek to thwart Maduro's continued rule.
The Los Angeles wildfires are on track to be among the costliest in U.S. history.
In headline sports, Jamaica's national under-17 team is knocked out of youth football tournament at the quarterfinal stage.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency MOCA launched a series of raids across multiple parishes today. What's driving the operations? Director of Communications at MOCA, Major Basil Jarrett, will join us.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, do you accept Mark Golding's clarification of the PNP's food import tax suggestion? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the PNP spokesman on agriculture, Dayton Campbell, is reported as proposing a tax on imported foods. The party has sought to clarify the comments. Dr. Campbell will join us.
At 7, a multi-million-dollar water improvement project was launched in Port Royal earlier this week. What will it move for the sleepy town and its residents? Minister with responsibility for water, Matthew Samuda, will tell us.
All these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Thursday afternoon, it's Thursday, January 9, 2025.
News at 5 is brought to you by KFC's Big Deal. Order through carry-out, drive-through, delivery, WhatsApp, or the new KFC Jamaica mobile app. KFC Big Deal. Anything for the taste.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. We begin with the latest on a series of raids by MOCA. A multi-million-dollar investigation into alleged organized crime and corruption at the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation deepened today. This as police investigators swooped down on 17 locations, including the offices of the corporation. Nationwide sources say as part of the probe, investigators from the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency MOCA seized multi-million-dollar checks and contract slips from the home of a close associate of a senior member of the corporation. The associate is also a member of the accounting staff at the corporation. He has not been taken into custody. Our sources say the probe is part of a corruption and illicit enrichment investigation into several officials, including a senior politician at the St. Catherine-based corporation. Investigators from MOCA left the corporation just after 4 this afternoon. We'll have more later in the program.
President of the National Water Commission, NWC, Mark Barnett, remains in his position nearly a year and a half after the process to terminate his employment started. Mr. Barnett came under fire in 2023 following a damning Integrity Commission report regarding his role in building breaches at a development on Charlemont Drive in St. Andrew. Nationwide News confirmed that while Mr. Barnett remains on administrative leave, he is still employed in his substantive post and still collecting his salary. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
In 2023, Director of Investigations for the Integrity Commission, Kevon Stevenson, concluded that a development owned by Barnett and his wife breached the building, planning, and environmental permits that were issued by the KSAMC and NEPA for the development. Stevenson said his conclusion was premised on the fact that the referenced development consists of 6 two-bedroom units and 6 three-bedroom units instead of 12 one-bedroom units. The DI concluded that there was a clear intention on the part of Mark Barnett and Mrs. Annette Francis Barnett to contravene the terms of the building and planning permit which was issued by the KSAMC. It was also found by the IC's Director of Investigations that Mr. Barnett owed nearly $1 million to the National Water Commission for sewage and water supply. Sources close to the matter suggest the process to mutually separate Mr. Barnett from the NWC has been frustrated and slowed due to legal wrangling on the part of the President and his attorneys. When Nationwide News contacted NWC Chairman Michael Shaw in September of last year, he stated that a separation between Barnett and the NWC is imminent and expected to be mutually agreeable. However, when Nationwide News followed up with the chairman today, he suggested it was at a place for decision-making. He would provide no further clarification as to what that meant. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Financial analyst and chartered accountant Dennis Chung says a tax on imported food would burden Jamaicans. He was responding to a reported proposal from the opposition spokesman on agriculture, Dr. Dayton Campbell, that the PNP would implement the tax if they form the next government. Dr. Campbell has claimed the goal is to promote import substitution and modernize local agriculture. Mahira Stewart reports.
According to RJR News, Dr. Campbell made the comments at a PNP meeting in Southeast St. Elizabeth earlier this week. The tax would fund the development of the local agriculture sector. This is similar to the levy on international calls that support the Universal Service Fund, which has funded Wi-Fi hotspots across the country. Dennis Chung warns the tax could lead to higher prices.
Recently, when Trump proposed the tariff on goods coming from China, one of the things that economists said right away is that it would cause greater pain to the American people because it would increase prices. Similarly, putting a tax on food items would also increase prices to the Jamaican people, because remember that the main issue that we face in terms of why we import in goods is not necessarily because we don't have taxes on items, it's productivity.
Dr. Campbell's proposal has sparked a wave of criticism for the PNP. In response, opposition leader Mark Golding stated that the PNP does not see a need for new taxes at this time. Mr. Golding sought to clarify that what Dr. Campbell was suggesting is an innovative approach that would earmark existing taxes that are collected on imported food items. He says those taxes would then be used to create a fund to support import substitution and export-led production of critical agricultural items. Meanwhile, Chung also criticized Dr. Campbell's suggestion to ban the importation of Irish potatoes and onions. According to Dr. Campbell, the ban would help to reduce the country's high import bill. But Chung says Jamaica does not produce enough Irish potatoes and onions.
If the free market did not see that there was an opportunity to bring it in, they wouldn't bring it in. So if you were to do that, and if you were to put a tax on food items coming in, the inevitable consequence is higher prices, because let us even say the item is produced in Jamaica and it actually costs more to produce it in Jamaica. All that would happen is that if I were to put on a 10% tax and make something $110 coming in and it was previously $100, then the person producing it locally, based on how the market operates, would say, okay, now that the price from the imported good has gone from 100 to 110, I don't have to sell my good anymore at $95 to compete, and he would then move it up.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Mr. Chung says more focus must be placed on addressing the fundamental issues in agriculture, including predial larceny, farm roads, and making markets more secure.
You have to think about dealing with predial larceny, dealing with things like farm roads and giving people good roads, a good way of getting crops from the farm to the market, dealing with things like improving the conditions of the market. Remember, that already we have no tax GCT on local goods in markets, So if we were to say, okay, the farmers already can sell their goods without any taxes in market. If you go to the supermarket, you have to pay a tax on it, though. Then what we should be doing is saying, can we improve the markets and make the market safer to people who want to go and shop there? Because they will get a better price there. And it also is more attractive for the farmers to go to market.
Dennis Strong, financial analyst and chartered accountant.
Still on agriculture, the Portfolio Minister Floyd Green says the government has been distributing ready-to-lay chickens to farmers as the country continues to grapple with a shortage of eggs.
The Ministry of Agriculture has been intervening to help our egg farmers rebound. In fact, we've already distributed about 50,000 birds across the hardest hit parishes, and these are 50,000 pullets ready to lay birds, and a number of our farmers have already started to reap some of those benefits. We are looking to do a second allocation on this side in this quarter to probably match the number of birds that we have already distributed. Again, looking at the downturn, looking at how the recovery effort has been going.
The local egg industry has been struggling to meet demand since the passage of Hurricane Beryl in July last year. Minister Green says more than 300,000 birds were lost during the Category 4 hurricane. He says the situation was compounded by increased rainfall during the latter part of the year. On Wednesday, President of the Jamaica Egg Farmers Association, Mark Campbell, says he's uncertain when egg production would return to full capacity. He says Beryl caused significant trauma to the birds, resulting in them cutting production. Mr. Campbell noted that about 4,000 cases of eggs are needed now to supply the demand across the country. He says in addition to the eggs, 500,000 new pullets are also needed. Minister Green says help has been provided to rebuild poultry farms severely impacted by the weather last year.
The other thing that we have done is help our egg farmers rebuild some of their infrastructure. So not only did we see losses in relation to birds, we also saw a number of infrastructure being completely destroyed. So for the first time, the ministry had a rebuild chicken infrastructure program where we allocated $20 billion, and we spent that again helping to rebuild infrastructure for both broiler farmers and our layer farmers. So we continue to monitor the situation. We do expect that now that we have passed the Christmas period, as the birds get past the trauma, as we put more birds out there, then we will start to see a return to normalcy over the next few months.
Floyd Green, the Minister of Agriculture.
Meanwhile, Minister Green says the ministry is not looking to import table eggs to meet the local demand.
So we're not contemplating the importation of table eggs. Jamaica has not imported table eggs for a long while now because we've achieved self-sufficiency in table eggs. So we are not contemplating that. What we have done, and if you realize, despite the tightness in the market, especially on the retail side, you haven't heard a lot of complaints from our bakeries because we have worked with the bakeries to ensure that they have a supply of liquid eggs that they need to do their baking, and they did that during the Christmas. And clearly, as soon as we get back to our normal egg supply, then that need will not be necessary.
Floyd Green, Minister of Agriculture.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is...
It's 14 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 25 out west in Montego Bay.
The Jamaica Defence Force invites members of the public to its sail and fly past at Victoria Pier, downtown Kingston, on Monday, January 13, 2025 at 9 a.m. Come and witness the JDF's assets in a brilliant display of military precision in the air and on the seas. Members of the public are being advised that ceremonial explosives will be utilized during the ceremony, but these will not pose any danger to lives or property. See you there.
Continuing the news, human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, has thrown its support behind a proposal to amend the Sexual Offences Act to decriminalize sex between consenting minors. The proposal was put forward by the children's advocate Diane Gordon Harrison. According to Executive Director of the JFJ, Michael Jackson, boys who engage in these consenting sexual relations often face the short end of the stick. Shalois Michael reports.
The amendment would create a close-in-age exception, especially where children under 16 may have been sexually experimenting. Under the exception, children who have sex with each other would undergo social intervention rather than a criminal penalty. Ms. Jackson says the JFJ fully supports the proposal.
JFJ strongly supports the recommendation made by the Office of the Children's Advocate. In fact, it's a recommendation that we have also made regarding the amendment to the Sexual Offences Act and ensuring that our children, specifically our boy children, are not being brought before an adversarial court system.
According to Ms. Jackson, within the context of two consenting 15-year-olds, only the boy would face prosecution based on the definition of sexual intercourse in law. She says the decriminalization would safeguard boys from these charges.
Our children are having sex with each other, consensual sex now. Is it fair that the law, as it is currently drafted, could only see that boy child facing an adversarial criminal justice system? So what JFJ is calling for is for the law to decriminalize our children coming before the court. This is simply two children having sex with each other, and you want to prevent the boy child from facing an adversarial criminal justice system.
Ms. Jackson reiterated that the exemption would not apply if the interaction between children involved force, fraud, coercion, or otherwise predatory behavior. Ms. Jackson further noted that the amendment would not give consenting minors a free pass to engage in sexual activities. Instead, she says it would craft comprehensive social intervention programs to educate children on sex.
A significant portion of the matters that face the child diversion program is in fact children having sex with each other. With such a good, innovative program, is this the best use of resources when we could have capitalized on the Health Family Life Education program to teach them about comprehensive sexual education, ensuring that the realities of children who are having early sexual debut as early as 12 years old, you put mechanisms in place for them to be more aware. When you look at the fact that less children are aware of STI, teenage pregnancy, HIV and AIDS, is this the answer that we want to have? Or do we want to have comprehensive mechanisms to respond to those realities while decriminalizing our boy children?
Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
The senior medical officer at the Bustamante Hospital for Children, Dr. Michelle Ann Richards-Dawson, says the institution is still awaiting a formal complaint from the parents of 4-year-old Alexandriana Jones. Baby Alexandriana died in December following an emergency surgery at the hospital to remove a tumor at the back of her head. Her family is alleging medical negligence after they say an independent autopsy found that the child died weeks before the hospital actually pronounced her dead. Robian Williams has that story.
The Bustamante Hospital for Children says it has launched an internal investigation to review the circumstances surrounding the case. Senior medical officer at the Bustamante Hospital for Children, Dr. Michelle Ann Richards-Dawson, says Alexandriana Jones's parents were invited to lodge a formal complaint to the hospital. However, the hospital has not yet received any such complaint. Alexandriana's father, Alexandre Jones, has been expressing his frustration on social media. He says he was told the surgery conducted on December 17 was successful and that the tumor was removed completely. But according to Mr. Jones, an independent autopsy commissioned by his family revealed that was not the case. The autopsy found that his daughter died from blood clots hours after the surgery. The hospital reportedly pronounced Alexandriana brain dead on December 31, and she was removed from the life support machine. But her father is of the view that the hospital is concealing the truth of what really happened to his daughter.
Me need answers, man. Me need answers. Me say, in the name of Jesus, Almighty Father God, no care who the 6-page report they want to write up at Bustamante Hospital and whatever they want to go in the meeting go do. You say, Father God, he not sleep. I say, why in the dark must come to light. We need justice for the baby, man. Come on, man. And we need justice for the other parents and up the right now way. Who to knows what gonna happen to them kids. And the one them who did go before and go through the problem when me I go through now. Come on, man. Minister, big man thing. You have to draft up them doctor and them nurse up there. So. You have to draft up from up at top, go straight down to the toenail. You don't want them put in on a problem, my boss. You see me? You need to draft them up. Because I know you don't have nothing to do with this. You need to draft them up. Them not do what you not pay them for do.
Mr. Jones is the artist manager and producer of dancehall artist Chronic Law. He's been receiving an outpouring of support on social media, especially from the entertainment fraternity. He says he's seeking justice and closure.
And my pitney gone. Me know the pain of me I feel. And our soul nah go rest in peace until the code a crack. Them people have to contact, man. Just make she lay, just put closure to her. Make she lay down and sleep and feel comfortable. And make me can go along with my merry life, even though I can't get her back and know say, you give me what I need. And the truth. It come like everything stored up in me and tell her the truth. The stress radar feel high. Me never feel sad in my life yet. My head feel light. Me feel like something. Me feel 10 different type of way in one. Me feel numb, me feel like me have a whole heap of sadness in me. One of the only best results me get out of this, a church, brethren. A church me end up for reach, end up start feel a relief in myself if you tell her the God Almighty truth, but it still not give me what me kidding about. It give me hope and faith to God real.
Robianne Williams for Nationwide News.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Venezuela's opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, was arrested and released on Thursday as her motorcycle convoy departed an anti-government protest in Caracas. Machado emerged from months of hiding to reappear in public as part of a last-ditch attempt to block President Nicolas Maduro from clinging to power. Machado's press team said in a social media post that security forces fired upon the convoy as it was leaving Caracas. The shocking arrest spurred calls for her release from governments and leaders across Latin America and beyond. Machado is a hardliner former lawmaker who stayed and fought against Maduro even after many of her allies in the opposition leadership fled. The protest called for by Machado took place a day before the ruling National Assembly is scheduled to swear in Maduro to a third 6-year term. Since the elections, the government has arrested more than 2,000 people who it claims have been plotting to oust Maduro and sow chaos in Venezuela.
The Los Angeles wildfires are on track to be among the costliest in U.S. history, with losses already expected to exceed more than $50 billion. Nearly 2,000 structures have been damaged or destroyed in the fires, which has also claimed at least 5 lives. Los Angeles County Sheriff Robert Luna said he expected the death toll to rise. He added that a more thorough investigation will be done in the affected areas. Thousands of residents remain under mandatory evacuation orders as firefighters continue to battle the blaze.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, multi-million-dollar investigation underway into allegations of organized crime and corruption at the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation.
Mark Barnett is still earning millions of dollars as president of the NWC.
This continues nearly a year and a half after the process to terminate his employment started.
Financial analyst and chartered accountant Dennis Chung says a tax on imported food would burden Jamaicans.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
Listeners, you can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by KFC's Big Deal. Order through carry-out, drive-through, delivery, WhatsApp, or the new KFC Jamaica mobile app. KFC Big Deal. Anything for the taste.
Take your business to the next level. Join Jamaica Stock Exchange at its landmark 20th Regional Investment and Capital Markets Conference from the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, January 21st to 23rd, 2025. 3 exciting days of powerful, inspiring, and innovative presentations. Hear from industry experts and entrepreneurs from the Caribbean, USA, Canada, Latin America, and Africa. Come, connect, and network. Reserve your spot at www.jamstockex.com or call 876-967-3271.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Jamaica's national under-17 football team was knocked out of the Torneo del Sol competition at the quarterfinal stage in Mexico today. The Young Reggae Boys were beaten 2-1 by Metropolitan Team 2-1. Seymour Reed, who scored a hat-trick in yesterday's 3-1 win over Liga Premier and who also got 2 goals in Jamaica's opening game 3-2 win, got the consolation for Jamaica on minute 86. He ended the tournament with 6 goals. The Jamaica Scorpion, the champions of the third staging of the Jamaica Cricket Association JCA T10 League, will pocket $600,000, with the runners-up taking home $300,000. The league, which is set to bowl off tomorrow, was officially launched today. The third-place team will walk away with $50,000, $25,000 going to the fourth-place team. Surrey Kings are defending champions, and they'll be captained this season by Javoy Royal, with the likes of Tevin Gilzine, Kirk McKenzie, and Kennar Lewis in the lineup. Jamaica Scorpion captain John Campbell will lead the Middlesex Titans, which also has the likes of Krishmar Santoki and Brian Barnes. Woolmer's Grey Shield winning captain Justin Beckford will lead the Surrey Risers with Ramal Lewis, O'Shea Shields, and Gordon Bryan among the other notables in the squad. Cornwall Warriors is led by Andre McCarthy, and it also has the likes of Sheldon Allen, Marquino Minley, and Damien Banks. The tournament is set, as I said, to bowl off tomorrow, with Surrey Royals taking on the Cornwall Warriors at 11 o'clock before United Stars battle the Surrey Kings at 3 p.m. All games will be played at Sabina Park. Trinidad is tipped to be host of the new regional T20 tournament, which is expected to unearth new talent in the region. The focus of the tournament will be youth players under 23, though cricketers over the age will also be given a chance. The tournament is tentatively set for April 18 to May 11 this year. Cricket West Indies Director of Cricket Miles Bascom confirmed that the Twin Island Republic will be the likely host and said the first edition will be held in one country to save money, with the Brian Lara Academy the venue. Bascom says Trinidad is the right fit because of the support they are accustomed to getting in that country. However, the plan, he says, is for the tournament to move around the region to get the players exposed to different conditions, as well as giving the public in each of the territories an opportunity to actually come out and see the inspiring T20 players ply their trade. Bascom said because the T20 World Cup is now played every 2 years, players who are 27 or 28 can still have lengthy careers. Jamaica's Olympic silver medalist Kishane Thompson is set to make his indoor debut this season at the Astana Indoor Meeting, the first World Athletics Tour Indoor Gold Meeting in Kazakhstan on January 25. The 23-year-old Thompson, who secured 100 meters silver in Paris last year, is entered for the 60 meters. Thompson has a lifetime best for 60 meters of 6.67 seconds set in a race in 2022, and the race was on outdoors at 60 meters. His last competition was the Paris Olympics, where he ran 9.79 seconds to finish, a close second behind Noah Lyles in the men's 100 meters. His competition in Astana will include Canada's Andre Degrasse, the Olympic Games 2021 200 meters champion. He also has a lifetime best of 6.66 seconds and gave him sixth in the final in Astana last year. In the women's 60 meters, Tia and Tina Clayton, the twin sisters, will be joined by their Jamaican compatriot Natasha Morrison and the Bahamian sprinter Antonique Strachan. Sade Williams and Genevieve Russell will race the women's 400 meters, while Alex Haydock Wilson is entered for the men's event. The two-time world champion Chase Jackson will be in action in the shot put, while Marcus Lindy of the USA will contest the long jump. And that will do it for sports. We're going to be back with more, much more, at 6:05 in our major sportscast.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you. The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30.
The Jamaica Defence Force invites members of the public to its sail and fly past at Victoria Pier, downtown Kingston, on Monday, January 13, 2025 at 9 a.m. Come and witness the JDF's assets in a brilliant display of military precision in the air and on the seas. Members of the public are being advised that ceremonial explosives will be utilized during the ceremony, but these will not pose any danger to lives or property. See you there.
The management and the staff of the Jamaica Customs Agency extend the very best wishes to you and your family for a safe, peaceful, and enjoyable holiday. Whether you're effecting clearance at the port, traveling to and from the airport, or undertaking other transactions, we urge you to travel safely, use good judgment, and stay within the speed limit. We thank you for your support throughout 2024 and look forward to a healthy, prosperous, and productive new year. Happy New Year from Jamaica Customs.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Stay ahead of the curve with our cutting-edge reporting and accurate breaking news coverage.
We are having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Hear it here first on Nationwide 90 FM. Tune in, turn up the volume, and listen. We bring a mix of news, entertainment, and sports to your lives.
Nationwide 90 FM's live and continuous coverage of the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary.
News and discussions week mornings.
Coming up in the news at 6 for this morning.
Entertainment in the afternoons, then news again in the evenings.
Nationwide news at this hour, fired.
Also, tune in to the entertainment and sports shows in the nights and on the weekends.
It is Boy Things After Dark right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
Everything is news, from current affairs and entertainment to sports, business, and other categories.
Nationwide 90 FM. This is Beanie, give it to them. Zaga, Zen.
From every whisper to every commotion.
That's rubbish. The KSAMC cannot investigate itself.
Every news story unfolds here first at Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Every sound is a story, and every story we share is news.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multilink. Access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink. 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink. 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the cover story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis, and we're turning our attention to a mass Mocha raid, and that's because the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, Mocha, has confirmed that it is involved in a joint operation at 17 locations across the parish of Kingston, St. Catherine, and Westmoreland. It says the operations are aimed at executing search warrants in connection with an ongoing investigation into allegations of serious organized crime. Nationwide News can confirm that Mocha raided the homes of several members of the accounting staff at the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. The Mocha operations are being jointly executed with the security forces and agents from the Financial Investigation Division, the FID. For an update, we are now being joined by Mocha's Director of Communications, Major Basil Jarrett. Good afternoon, Major Jarrett.
Good afternoon, Ricardo. Good afternoon, Sanjay.
Good afternoon, Major.
Thank you. Can you provide us with an overview of the joint operation conducted by Mocha and other agencies across the three parishes?
All right. Well, I want to start with a disclaimer that due to the ongoing nature of the investigation, in fact, I think the last team just left the location. There's not much I can say. There's not much detail I can provide as to the nature of the allegation, except to say that it involves significant sums of money being misappropriated. That being said, this morning, Mocha and FID, who are the lead investigators on this operation, on this investigation, we went to 17 locations in Kingston, Westmoreland, and St. Catherine to execute a number of search warrants that we believe will assist us in that investigation. The investigation involves allegations of misappropriation at the St. Catherine Parish Council, and we went to the homes of persons who are either employees or affiliated to employees of the Parish Council this morning. We searched their homes. We seized a number of evidentiary items, and then we moved to the Parish Council where we brought the persons and completed the search there as well. We tried our very best to minimize our impact on the operations at the Parish Council today, but as you can imagine, it was a major operation and there was some disruptions, and we apologize for that. But this is a major investigation. It's significant, and we're hoping that the public will understand.
Major Jarrett.
And how long, and just a follow-up, and how long has the investigation been underway?
It's important to recognize that investigations, especially those of a financial nature that involves cyber, data, financial crimes that have a very high, significant cyber component to them, they can be long and protracted events. There are volumes of evidentiary material to collect and analyze and secure. So there is certainly an expectation in the public that when we do these investigations, people want to see immediate results. This particular investigation has been with us for a number of years, and given the quantities, the sums of monies involved, the individuals involved, just the voluminous nature of the material to be analyzed, it did take us some time to get to this point where we executed the operation this morning. Even the operation that you saw today, that has been in the works for some weeks now. We are contemplating going loud in December, but because Christmas was coming up, we didn't want to disrupt the Christmas period, and we thought that the lull of January would be a good time. So the investigation has been with us for a number of years, but this operation has been in the works for several weeks now.
Major Jarrett, you mentioned that you went to the homes of employees or persons linked or related to employees of the municipal corporation. Does that involve any politician at the corporation?
I'm glad you asked that. I want to stress, no. Today's operations were related to persons who are either employees, technocrats, or affiliated to the parish council. No politician, no member of the political directorate was targeted by the searches today.
And are there any politicians on your radar?
Right. No. Well, we have been tracking the discourse, obviously. We're seeing where some of the discussion is going on. And we want to stress that MOCA and its agents take pride in our enduring reputation of accountability, transparency, honesty, and very importantly, impartiality. This is a serious investigation. It is an active investigation, and it is unfortunate that persons have attempted to discredit what we've done today by trying to paint a political slant to it.
Mm-hmm.
We have not targeted any member of the political directorate. No political figure was targeted. I want to stress that.
I appreciate the clarification. So 17 locations across Kingston, St. Catherine, and Westmoreland. And you went through all these parishes in relation to just the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation?
Yes, and I want to also add a bit of clarification. There was one location in Westmoreland. I received a query today to see if the Westmoreland Parish Council was involved.
Mm-hmm.
No, the individual who we were interested in used to be at the St. Catherine Parish Council. He's been transferred or relocated to Westmoreland, and that's why we ended up there. The Westmoreland Parish Council is not involved. It's not subject to this investigation.
Mm-hmm. And when you say transferred to Westmoreland, meaning his employment has been transferred to the Westmoreland Municipal Corporation?
I'm not sure what his current employment is, but I know that he used to be in St. Catherine, but he has since moved. It may just be a natural career change during the process of someone naturally. Your career is progressing.
Yes.
It had nothing to do whatsoever with Westmoreland.
Okay. You use it, if I could just follow up, Sanjay, you use the term in the release, serious organized crime.
Yes.
And obviously, we can't escape the fact that the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation is located in an area, a police division known for gang activity. When you use this term, serious organized crime, is there any link, if you can tell us, to any kind of gang?
I can't say at this moment. What I can say, though, is that wherever the investigation takes us, that's where we will go. But it's way too early for me to say right now if gangs are involved or to what extent gangs would be involved. But wherever the investigation leads us, that is where we'll be going in support, being supported by our partners at the JCF, the JDF, etc.
Have you arrested anyone today? Did you arrest anyone
today? We did,
in
fact, arrest one individual, but it was not linked to the operations that we conducted. One individual had a number of rounds of ammunition at his home that he could not account for, and so we arrested him, and he has now been charged with breaches of a firearm. But I want to stress that's not what we went there for, but obviously we're law enforcement, and so if we go there and we see you breaking the law, we're going to take the appropriate action. So one individual was arrested in relation to that. We also seized quantities of cash, which the individuals could not give an account for. Depending on what happens there may be another arrest and another seizure. There's also a quantity of counterfeit goods, which we surprisingly discovered. Once we can verify, we suspect that they're counterfeit, but if we can verify that they are, in fact, then there may be subsequent arrests and charges coming out of this.
And that arrest...
But there were no arrests in relation to today's the main operation.
Yes. And that arrest is of an employee or a relative of the employee?
An employee.
Sanjay?
And can you confirm, Major Jarrett, if the accounting staff members at the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation are central to the investigation?
I'd rather use the blanket term technocrats, and I think that will include everyone that we're looking at. I would not want to start to disaggregate different areas. It's a broad operation, broad investigation, and it could go anywhere. And so I wouldn't necessarily want to single out any particular group at this point.
Hold it there for us. We're up on the break talking to the Director of Communications at MOCA, Major Basil Jarrett. Sukum.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
15 minutes to 6.
Label Crafts Jamaica Limited offers exceptional finishes that will make your product extraordinary at an affordable cost. The Temperature, brought to you by Label Crafts Jamaica Limited. The #1 choice for label printing is...
It's 28 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston. Cooler at 25 out west in Montego Bay.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose, fittings, and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent, or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. It's the cover story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
My name is Sanjay Lewis, and we're speaking with the Director of Communications, Major Basil Jarrett. He's the Director of Communications at MOCA, and discussing a raid which took place today. And Major Jarrett, those who you have, and the information that you would have taken from those various individuals, is it that they are cooperating with the investigation and providing necessary information to your team?
To the extent that they did not resist the search warrants today, I would say yes, they have been cooperative so far.
Mm-hmm. Just to go back to an earlier question Sanjay asked in terms of the scope, when did you start the investigation?
I believe this investigation has been with the agency for some time. I'm going to say certainly about maybe 4 years. Don't hold me to that. It may be beyond 4 years ago. But, you know, one of the things we pride ourselves on at MOCA is to be very careful and deliberate and meticulous in how we do our thing. I hinted at it earlier that sometimes the public gets a little bit impatient. You know, they want to see immediate results. But we believe that if we take our time to do the investigative work, it will allow us to build a stronger case and have a higher likelihood of conviction on the back end. So it has been with us for some time. It has been carefully and painstakingly been assembled, culminating in what we saw today.
And based on all that you've been able to gather so far, do you expect that you'll be able to lay charges in relation to the operation now?
Oh, I absolutely believe so. What I cannot say is when this will happen. But we are very confident that there will be charges. These are significant crimes, significant amounts of money. I anticipate that there will be charges coming out of this.
And when we say significant amounts of money, what are we talking about?
Well, because the investigation is ongoing, it's very difficult to say just how much, what sums we're looking at. We could have a figure today, X, and based off the documents that we've received, we've seized, it's Y. So I would not want us to try to pin down figures today, except to say that it's a significant amount of money we're talking here.
Major Jarrett, I know you said earlier that MOCA did not raid any house for any parliamentarians or politicians at large.
That's correct.
Is it that you have any politicians on your radar as it relates to this investigation?
The investigation at this point is focusing on the technocrats, employees, and their affiliates. What I would add, though, is that wherever the investigation takes us, that is naturally where we would go. But at this point, the investigation centers around the technocrats, employees, and their affiliates. Civil servants, for want of a better word.
You mentioned that, you know, the investigation may have been going on for now about 4 years. Should the public, I mean, we've been seeing a series of these kinds of operations from MOCA. Should we expect that we're going to see more of these kinds of raids, these kind of swooping down in concert with your law enforcement allies in the recent future?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What you're seeing here is a demonstration of MOCA's commitment to its mandates. You might see spikes in our activity and then things may go quiet. It doesn't mean that something isn't happening. It simply means that we're probably in the investigative stage, we're probably in the planning stage, but at some point you will see something erupt utilize them. So going forward, absolutely. What has happened to the agency in recent years is that since receiving our independent status, we now have greater mandate and greater control over the operations we conduct. We have a greater management and control over our personnel, our budget. That gives us a lot more latitude to operate, not just independently, but to operate in our own timelines. We don't have to worry too much on external bodies who we used to rely heavily on support for. So I think a lot of what the public is seeing is a MOCA that is growing and coming into its own as Jamaica's preeminent anti-corruption and organized crime agency. And we expect that this will continue in the near future.
We ask you this every time you come here, but I think it bears repeating. For those who may have a tip, may have any information that can assist MOCA, how do they reach you?
MOCA tip. We created the tip line 2 years ago. It has been of extreme help to us in what we're doing, and we continue to encourage the public to support it. 888 MOCA tip. If you suspect or see something that's unusual, you're not quite sure, bring it to us and let us make that determination.
Yeah.
And you're saying that individuals have been cooperating and giving you much needed information that is vital to various operations that you're doing.
Oh, absolutely. From the tip lines, we have been getting significant support, especially in the online domain. We find that people are emboldened now; they're courageous, and they're coming forward and they're making their position, making their voices heard. And we encourage that, and we applaud it, and we encourage it.
Yeah. Major Basil Jarrett is the Director of Communications at MOCA. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for your time as always.
Thanks for having me, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Major Jarrett.
And we should tell the listeners, Sanjay, we did reach out to the mayor of Spanish Town, Norman Scott, to invite him here. He says he's occupied, at the moment and unable to join us. My producer tells me he's on another program, so he's unable to join us now. Of course, we'll keep trying to get a comment from Mayor Scott, of course, head of the municipal corporation.
But some good work from MOCA, Ricardo, and as Major Jarrett indicated, over 4 years, he says, that they have been conducting this investigation. And it shows also the intelligence that exists, where the men and women of MOCA and just the police force at large, they're spending the time to do the groundwork. And sometimes, we expect results immediately, but you want to be diligent in doing the investigation so that when these things go to court, the evidence will be solid. Yeah, so we have to commend them.
Yeah, and they have built up a reputation that when they do put matters before the court, more often than not, they do secure convictions. Financial investigations are notoriously tedious. Yeah, you have to literally cross every T, dot every I, follow the money where it goes. And you heard Major Jarrett saying there that they are prepared to follow the investigation wherever it goes. But important clarifications, no politician was targeted or no house of a politician was raided today. Major Jarrett says these are all related to what he called technocrats or civil servants and their relatives. And of course, across 3 parishes, going as far as Westmoreland. And interestingly enough, that in conducting these raids, they did come across other illicit activity, fire ammunition that could not be accounted for, what they suspect to be counterfeit goods. And of course, in the course of their operation, would have arrested an employee in relation to those seizures. So all in all, a good day for law enforcement.
A good day. And also, I love the transparency from MOCA. Of course, they can't give all the information that we would want, but at least they are providing us with enough information as it comes. So we have to commend them also for providing the public with the information.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to hearing once they have been able to tabulate just how much money is that. Because I did find the wording a serious organized crime interesting. Usually you say organized crime, and by its very nature, it's serious, right? So, I did find it instructive that they call it serious organized crime. It suggested to me that the severity was being treated important, or it was being seen as important.
Yes. And you raised, you asked a very important question, Ricardo. the link, any link to any of those organized gangs.
Yes.
In Spanish Town, especially because we know
they operate in the space.
Yes,
extortion is a problem.
Yes, so it will be interesting to see if there's any link at all with any of those gangs in that area.
Major Jarrett indicating that they are prepared to follow it wherever it goes. Listeners, at 6:40 in the nation's business, you'll want to be here. The opposition spokesman on agriculture, Dr. Dayton Campbell, will join us. Dr. Campbell is indicating he was essentially taken out of context on this, what has been reported by RGR as a proposal to impose tax on imported foods. Dr. Campbell is saying not quite so, not what I intended, or not what they didn't understand him properly is what I'm getting so far preliminarily. So he will explain what exactly he meant. Curiously, there doesn't appear to be a recording with exactly what Dr. Campbell said. I've been trying to lay my hands on it. We haven't gotten it from our colleagues.
It would be good if we could get that recording. And we see also, Ricardo, where the opposition leader sent a release.
No less than the opposition leader.
Yeah.
So the severity of
the opposition leader.
in the dead of night. In the dead of night. So the severity of it was obviously grasped. And look, in an election year, you'd be shocked to hear the opposition they're trying to get into power say we're going to impose a tax.
And as we said yesterday when I was speaking with Siobhan, for a very long time Jamaicans have, when it's time for budget, they worry about what new taxes will come in play. Yeah. And then for such a long time, we're hearing no new taxes. And then during an election year, the opposition is hinting at some form of taxation. So they had to come out swiftly to pull that back.
And let's be frank, going back as far to 1992, 1993, the People's National Party came to be associated with the budgets that imposed the tax. I vividly recall
Omar Davies.
Yes, I know my grandmother actually. She would always say, "What kind of new tax I come?" Always say that. Before I even understood what the budget was about or the process or anything, I just remember the dread about taxation. So, in recent history, we've moved away from that kind of dread. So it did strike me as very odd. To be hearing, I think it was in their midday news yesterday, RGR first reported it, that the party seeking state power was saying that they intended to impose a tax. Dr. Campbell said, not quite what he said or meant. So we'll hear the clarification
from him
at 6:40. Yeah, that's the cover story. All the time we have. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
It's Monday. Get over your blues. For Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With this thing of Honey Bee.
And Karim Boyatings
From 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you say?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. A multi-million-dollar investigation into alleged organized crime and corruption at the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation deepened today. This as police investigators swooped down on 17 locations, including the offices of the corporation. Director of Communications at MOCA, Major Basil Jarrett, provided an update with our news center a short while ago.
I think the last team just left the location. There's not much I can say. There's not much detail I can provide as to the nature of the allegation, except to say that it involves significant sums of money being misappropriated. That being said, this morning, MOCA and FID, we went to 17 locations in Kingston, Westmoreland, and St. Catherine to execute a number of search warrants that we believe will assist us in that investigation. The investigation involves allegations of misappropriation at the St. Catherine Parish Council, and we went to the homes of persons who are either employees or affiliated to employees of the Parish Council this morning. We searched their homes, we seized a number of evidentiary items, and then we moved to the Parish Council where we brought the persons and completed the search there as well.
Major Basil Jarrett, Director of Communications at MOCA. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green says the government has been distributing ready-to-lay chickens to farmers as the country continues to grapple with a shortage of eggs.
The Ministry of Agriculture has been intervening to help our egg farmers rebound. In fact, we've already distributed about 50,000 birds across the hardest hit parishes, and these are 50,000 pullets ready to lay birds, and a number of our farmers have already started to reap some of those benefits. We are looking to do a second allocation on this side in this quarter to probably match the number of birds that we have already distributed. Again, looking at the downturn, looking at how the recovery effort has been going.
Minister Green says more than 300,000 birds were lost during the passage of Hurricane Beryl in July last year. He says the situation was compounded by increased rainfall during the latter part of the year. He says help has been provided to rebuild poultry farms, which were severely impacted.
The other thing that we have done is help our egg farmers rebuild some of their infrastructure. So not only did we see losses in relation to birds, we also saw a number of infrastructure being completely destroyed. So for the first time, the ministry had a rebuild chicken infrastructure program where we allocated $20 billion, and we spent that again helping to rebuild infrastructure for both broiler farmers and our layer farmers. So we continue to monitor the situation. We do expect that now that we have passed the Christmas period, as the birds get past the trauma, as we put more birds out there, then we will start to see a return to normalcy over the next few months.
Meanwhile, Minister Green says the ministry is not looking to import table eggs to meet the local demand.
So we're not contemplating the importation of table eggs. Jamaica has not imported table eggs for a long while now because we've achieved self-sufficiency in table eggs. So we are not contemplating that. What we have done, and if you realize, despite the tightness in the market, especially on the retail side, you haven't heard a lot of complaints from our bakeries because we have worked with the bakeries to ensure that they have a supply of liquid eggs that they need to do their baking, and they did that during the Christmas. And clearly, as soon as we get back to our normal egg supply, then that need will not be necessary.
Floyd Green, Minister of Agriculture. Human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, has thrown its support behind the proposal to amend the Sexual Offences Act to decriminalize sex between consenting minors.
JFJ strongly supports the recommendation made by the Office of the Children's Advocate. In fact, it's a recommendation that we have also made regarding the amendment to the Sexual Offences Act and ensuring that our children, specifically our boy children, are not being brought before an adversarial court system.
According to Michael Jackson, within the context of two consenting 15-year-olds, only the boy would face prosecution based on the definition of sexual intercourse in law. She says the decriminalization would safeguard boys from these charges.
Our children are having sex with each other, consensual sex now. Is it fair that the law, as it is currently drafted, could only see that boy child facing an adversarial criminal justice system? So what JFJ is calling for is for the law to decriminalize our children coming before the court. This is simply two children having sex with each other, and you want to prevent the boy child from facing an adversarial criminal justice system.
Ms. Jackson reiterated that the exemption would not apply if the interaction between children involved force, fraud, coercion, or otherwise predatory behavior. She further noted that the amendment would not give consenting minors a free pass to engage in sexual activities. Instead, she says it would craft comprehensive social intervention programs to educate children on sex.
A significant portion of the matters that face the child diversion program is in fact children having sex with each other. With such a good, innovative program, is this the best use of resources when we could have capitalized on the Health Family Life Education program to teach them about comprehensive sexual education, ensuring that the realities of children who are having early sexual debut as early as 12 years old, you put mechanisms in place for them to be more aware. When you look at the fact that less children are aware of STI, teenage pregnancy, HIV and AIDS, is this the answer that we want to have? Or do we want to have comprehensive mechanisms to respond to those realities while decriminalizing our boy children?
Michaela Jackson is the Executive Director of the JFJ. Prime Minister Andrew Holness was among several world leaders and one of only two from the Caribbean who on Wednesday received calls from U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris. Prime Minister of Barbados and the Chair of CARICOM, Mia Mottley, was the other regional leader. The call came as the Biden-Harris administration wraps up its term in office. In a statement on its website, the White House said in the call, Vice President Harris underscored the strength of the U.S.-Jamaica partnership and the long-standing bonds between the American and the Jamaican people. It says Vice President Harris welcomed the shared progress on climate adaptation and resilience, food security, and renewable energy investments. She expressed continued support for strengthening U.S. partnerships throughout the Caribbean region. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
Does your bra ride up your back? Do your shoulders hurt from carrying the weight of your breasts? These are signs of an ill-fitting bra. When was the last time you were fitted by a bra fit specialist? The bra experts at LaBelle Femme will take care of you. Drop into the store at 53 Lady Musgrave Road, Tuesdays to Saturdays from 10 to 5, and you will see the difference. Or call 876-622-6091.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alwix Raby. We kick things off with some football as Jamaica's national under-17 football team were knocked out of the Torneo del Sol competition at the quarterfinal stage in Mexico today. The young Reggae Boys were beaten 2-1 by Metropolitan Team 2-1. Seymour Reid, who scored a hat-trick in yesterday's 3-1 win over League Premier, got the consolation goal for Jamaica in the 86th minute. Now to cricket, as President of Cricket West Indies, Dr. Kishore Shallow, and CII Director of Cricket, Miles Bascom, have withheld judgment on the proposed Test cricket two-tier system. This system would enable more frequent matches between the big three, England, Australia and India. Supporters of the system argued that it will enhance competition, while critics fear it may harm smaller teams. Speaking on Mason and Guest, Dr. Shallow says this is not a new proposal.
It's interesting. It is a sensitive issue. Based on my research that I've done, this matter has been on the table since about 2004, thereabout, when several individuals were looking at ways to keep Test cricket interested. I mean, that in itself shows how long people have been anticipating or considering Test cricket to be on the decline. You know, I don't know if it's time that we accept that Test cricket as it is still very exciting. If you even look at series, and one of the issues that I'm sure some people have with the two-tier approach, because it hasn't been a proposal on the table since I've been a director. I could state that it has not been on the agenda of ICC since I've been a director for nearly 2 years now.
Dr. Kishore Shallow, Bascom says he needs more information on the subject.
It's difficult to have a position on it without knowing, the actual framework and the dynamics, the financial framework that will go along with it, as well as if there is a relegation promotion system. I mean, there are still quite a lot of things that are not clear to me. And, until I have that information, I will want to reserve my comments.
Miles Bascom. The West Indies will open their short tour of Pakistan tonight, local time, when they face a Shaheen 11 in a 3-day practice game at the Islamabad club starting at 11:30. This will be the West Indies' only warm-up game before the start of the Test series on January 17 in Multan. Batting coach Jimmy Adams believes the weather conditions in Pakistan are perfectly suited for the game of cricket.
It's a very important part of the build-up. It'll give us middle time against quality opposition, and quality time in the middle is what we need going into that first test match. So hopefully we make use of the team that we're playing against and the surface that they've prepared here for us.
The former captain says the team has settled in nicely since arriving in Islamabad on Monday.
So the conditions are really excellent for cricket. The weather here is really good. It's not too cold or too hot. The facilities that they've given us here have been excellent. So the guys have had everything at their disposal. Good surfaces, enough practice bowlers. And they've been putting in the time, and the intensity has been really good. So at the end of the day, I think they've gotten exactly what they would have wanted, and then it's now for us to make use of the 3-day practice game going into the first test match.
Adam says the technical team is working on ensuring the players get the fundamentals right.
In terms of our team focus, it's more just making sure that we have the basics covered. The plan generally is to make sure that we can do basics for longer than any team that we play against, and therefore they're making sure that after a long flight, a couple of days of rest, that they really focus on getting the basics put to bed and be ready to execute those basics come tomorrow.
Jimmy Adams. Now the champions of the third staging of the Jamaica Cricket Association JCA T10 Cricket League will pocket $600,000, with the runners-up taking home $300,000. The league, which is set to bowl off tomorrow, was officially launched today. The third-place team will walk away with $50,000 and $25,000 for fourth. Surrey Kings are defending champions, and they will be captained by this season by Javor Royals, with the likes of Tevin Gilzine, Kurt McKenzie and Kennard Lewis in the lineup. Jamaica Scorpions skipper John Campbell will lead the Middlesex Titans, which also has the likes of Kismar Santoki and Brian Barnes. Wolmer's Grace Shield winning captain Justin Beckford will lead the Surrey Riders, with Ramal Lewis, O.J. Shields and Gordon Bryan among the other notables in the side. Cornwall Warriors is led by Andre McCarthy and also has the likes of Sheldon Allen, Markina Minley and Damian Ebanks. The tournament is set to bowl off tomorrow, with Surrey Royals facing Cornwall Warriors at 11 before United Stars battle Surrey Kings at 3 p.m. Trinidad is tipped to be host of the new regional T20 tournament, which is expected to unearth a new talent in the region. The focus of the tournament will be youth players under 23, though cricketers over that age will also be given a chance. The tournament is tentatively set for April 18 to May 11 this year. CWI Director of Cricket Miles Bascom confirmed that the Twin Island Republic will be the likely host and said the first edition will be held in one country to save money, with the Brian Lara Academy the venue. Bascom says Trinidad is the right fit because of the support they're accustomed to getting in that country. However, the plan, he says, is for the tournament to move around the region to get the players exposed to different conditions, as well as giving the public in each of the territories an opportunity to actually come out and see the inspiring T20 players ply their trade. Bascom said because the T20 World Cup is played every 2 years, players who are 27 or 28 can still have a lengthy career. Now to athletics, as Jamaica's Olympic silver medalist Kishane Thompson is set to make his indoor debut at the Astana Indoor Meet, the first World Athletics Indoor Tour Gold meeting in Kazakhstan, on January 25. The 23-year-old Thompson, who secured 100 meters silver at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, is entered for the 60 meters. Thompson has a lifetime best of 60 meters of 6.67 seconds, set in an outdoor race in 2022. His last competition was the Paris Olympics, where he ran 9.79 seconds to finish a close second behind Noah Lyles in the 100 meters final. His competition in Astana will include Canada's Andre DeGrasse, the Tokyo Olympic 200 meters champion, who ran 6.66 seconds to finish sixth in the final in Astana last year. In the women's 60 meters, Tia and Tina Clayton will be joined by their Jamaican compatriot Natasha Morrison and Bahamian sprinter Antonique Strawn. Sade Williams and Janine Russell will race in the women's 400 meters, while Alexis Haydock Wilson is entered for the men's event. Two-time world champion Chase Jackson will be in action in the shot put, while Marquise Dende will contest the long jump. And to netball, as UK-based player Brie Greason is expected to make her debut for Jamaica's senior netball team when they host South Africa in the 3-match series. The tournament is set for the National Indoor Sports Centre on January 18, 22 and 25. Greason, who plays for Nottingham Forest Netball, which will compete in the English Super League in 2025, qualifies to represent Jamaica through her father. Sunshine Girls specialist coach Kurt Dale says Greason is a super talent.
She has been playing in the Super League for a number of years now, so she, while not on the international stage, she has that experience playing at a high level. So what she will bring to the squad is invaluable, and it will also help to make the squad more rounded as an attacking unit, and we're looking forward to that. She's quick, she's smart, and she's super athletic, so I think Jamaica will be excited to see her hopefully get her debut in this series.
Kurt Dale. And finally, the LA Lakers have postponed Friday's NBA fixtures against the Charlotte Hornets amid ongoing wildfires in the region. The NBA said the date for the rescheduled game will be announced at a later date. Meanwhile, basketball star Kawhi Leonard, who plays for the Lakers' city rivals, the LA Clippers, is reportedly set to step away from the team to be with his family after they were evacuated from the area. NHL side Los Angeles Kings, who also play at the Crypto.com Arena, postponed their meeting with the Calgary Flames, which was scheduled for Thursday. Firefighters in Los Angeles are battling a number of blazes in city suburbs as nearly 180,000 residents were forced to evacuate. However, NFL franchise Los Angeles Rams said their playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings at SoFi Stadium is still expected to take place on Monday. I'm Alex Swiby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
28 degrees Celsius in City Kingston and 25 in Montego Bay.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid-tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Excelsior Pass Students Association Network of Champions cordially invites you to our 94th Annual Founders Day, Sunday, January 19th, 2025, under the theme, Honoring Our Legacy, Building Our Future. Church service commences at 9 a.m. in the auditorium, located at 137 Mountain View Avenue. Guest speaker, Bishop Dr. Marcel R. Fullwood, class of 1983, Partners Worship Center, Canada. Following the service, join us for brunch and entertainment at 11 a.m. in the auditorium. Entertainment by Harold Davis, Prilly Hamilton, Akeef Nugent, and Shanika Jeffrey. Contributions only $5,000. For further info, call us at 876-898-8294 or email xlcrpsasecretariat@yahoo.com. Don't you miss it.
Looking to rent a fully operational production studio? Then Nationwide 90 FM has got you covered. We have flexible options to meet your recording needs any day of the week. Monday to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays available upon request. Bookings must be made in advance. Call us today at 630-1210. Let us help you reach your production desires.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. It's Friday Eve. Yeah? It's the eve of Friday. I'm Robianne Williams. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good evening to those of you who are on our YouTube platform. Thank you so much for tuning in. We invite you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. So, the Opposition People's National Party have issued a statement that attempts to clarify and add context to opposition spokesman on agriculture Dr. Dayton Campbell's reported suggestion to tax imported food. Opposition leader Mark Golding says the PNP does not see a need for new taxes.
So we don't see any need for any new taxes at this time. You know, we have some ideas, and some of our spokespersons from time to time may say certain things. One of them, for example, is that the existing taxes that are collected on imported food items, we should earmark those funds to developing local agriculture that can eventually replace those imports. So we grow local production to replace imported food. Yeah. But we're not talking about putting any new taxes on imported food because we don't see the need for that at this time.
Mark Golding, opposition leader. Now, his remarks were made at a PNP workers' meeting in Manchester. In the statement, Golding sought to clarify that what Dr. Campbell is suggesting is an innovative approach which would earmark existing taxes that are collected on imported food items. He says those taxes would then be used to create a fund that would support import substitution and export-led production of critical agricultural items. Yes? So in our Public Opinion this evening, we're asking, do you accept Mark Golding's clarification of the PNP's food import tax suggestion? We'll go right ahead to the comments on our I should start on our Facebook platform, yes? Let me see if I can get into those. Bear with me. Let me see. Christopher Isaac says he doesn't respect us. Fabian Smith says no, that's their plans. Philip Jackson is asking, why fix what's not broken? When it comes to borrowing money, JLP cut it out. Because of good government, we are now the lender. The fact that the IMF have to borrow our finance minister, what can top that? Anthony Sheikh says no, it's something the party may have discussed, but they saw that it did not find favor with the public, so they're trying to clean up the mess. All right, let me see. Nikki is saying no need for clarification. Othniel Blair, out of the abundance of the heart he speaketh. Christopher Isaac says he should have just taken the time to explain their policy regarding importation of agricultural products. Mr. Campbell and Mr. Crawford simply stated the party's policy of more taxation. All right. Let me see if I can get in some more. Alex Smith says Damien and Dayton cannot be so wrong. Just they speak the truth and they think it would be accepted. George Elliott is saying after Hurricane Beryl devastated the breadbasket parish and all the crops, a shortage was bound to occur, and importation would be the obvious alternative. Increasing taxes on these imports at this time is nonsensical and ill-advised. Yeah. Adrian is saying, well, we wanted to see. And let me see if I can get some more comments. Robert Ranger says, no, sir. Yvonne Gertrude. Let me see if I can she's asking if we accept it, if it's accepted. Martha is saying, very good suggestion. All right, let me see if I can get to the comments on our X platform. We must inform the viewers or listeners that Dr. Dayton Campbell will be our guest in the Nation's Business. So for sure you can tune into our Nation's Business coming up shortly. All right, on X, to the question, do you accept Mark Golding's clarification of the PNP's food import tax suggestion? The first comment on our platform, X platform, is from the Minister Darrell Vaz. He says, no, it's not a clarification any more than they're distancing themselves from Damien and Mikel. Mark is proving that the PM is right. His team is filled with novice hands and weak. Jay Brown is saying they cannot run an opposition. How are they going to lead? Don Messi says no. He said no taxes at this time, so he will do it in future. Andre Lawrence says when the General Secretary fumbles on key policies, it speaks volume about the lack of direction. Voice of Truth says no. Dion Mitchell says the frequency of utterances suggests it's a shadow cabinet decision. Miss Spontaneous says no new taxes was always PNP answer to anything. I say own and explain how and why. Okay. So she's saying own it and explain how and why. Yeah. Terence believes it was a poor clarification. And Paul Notch says no because their policy is always tax. Jay Jammy saying damage already done. President says yes, just as how I accept it. Let me see if I can get in some more. Tia Davis says no, this is a regular thing for him. And Shanae says no. All right, let me see if I can get to the comments on our YouTube platform. Again, I ask you to bear with me. I know a lot of comments coming in. Denzel M says, absolutely not. I believe what Dayton said. And Golding is spinning. Sharon Bless says, people, I will tax you, but not at this time. And Betsy Powell says, a big no. Bali is also saying no to the PNP. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Killian Henry says they're gonna come with tax. Damon Crawford first told us, now Dayton inadvertently let it out. What can go so? Becca is saying no matter how much Mark trying to clarify what Dr. Campbell said, that's what they're planning to do. Primrose is saying no. All right, let me see if I can get in some more. Marjorie G is saying no. Josephine saying I don't accept it. Yeah. All right, let me see if I can get the scrolling up to see. Albert Lewis says no acceptance of Mr. Golding's response. The explanation given doesn't make sense. All taxes go to consolidated funds, then distributed accordingly to the different areas. Sharon Bless says not at this time. All right, getting the wrap-up signal, guys. Thank you so much for participating in Public Opinion this evening. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:30.
Annual eye examinations not only assess your vision, but may be life-saving. Eye tests may detect serious health issues that go beyond your vision. Call IQ Optical to schedule your comprehensive eye test today.
The temperature by IQ Optical is
27 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 25 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. TikTok says it plans to shut down the social media site in the U.S. by January 19 unless the Supreme Court strikes down or otherwise delay the effective date of a law aimed at forcing TikTok's sale by its Chinese parent company. In one of the most important cases of the social media age, free speech and national security collide at the Supreme Court on Friday in arguments over the fate of TikTok. Working on a tight deadline, the justices also have before them a plea from President-elect Donald Trump, who has dropped his earlier support for a ban, to give him and his new administration time to reach a political resolution and avoid deciding the case. It's unclear if the court will take the Republican president-elect's view into account. Now, TikTok and China-based ByteDance, as well as content creators and users, argue the law is a dramatic violation of the Constitution's free speech guarantee. The Los Angeles wildfires are on track to be among the costliest in U.S. history, with losses already expected to exceed $50 billion. In a preliminary estimate, private forecaster AccuWeather said it expected losses of between $52 billion and $57 billion as the blazes rip through an area that is home to some of the most expensive property in the U.S. The insurance industry is also bracing for a major hit, with analysts forecasting insured losses more than $8 billion. Nearly 2,000 structures have been damaged or destroyed in the fires, which also claimed at least 5 lives. With authorities still working to contain the fires, the scope of the losses is still unfolding. And finally, in the currency markets, at the close of trading today, it cost 156 Jamaican dollars and 85 cents to buy $1, 195 Jamaican dollars and 20 cents to buy £1 British pound, and 109 Jamaican dollars and 59 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
The Jamaica Defence Force invites members of the public to its sail and fly past at Victoria Pier, downtown Kingston, on Monday, January 13, 2025 at 9 a.m. Come and witness the JDF's assets in a brilliant display of military precision in the air and on the seas. Members of the public are being advised that ceremonial explosives will be utilized during the ceremony, but these will not pose any danger to lives or property. See you there.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Are you ready for it?
Revo. Coming soon.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path. Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of The Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the nation's business. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis, and we're turning our attention to a comment made by Dr. Dayton Campbell. The ruling Jamaica Labour Party, the JLP, is rejecting as ill-advised and a recipe for disaster a suggestion by opposition spokesman on agriculture, Dr. Dayton Campbell, that the PNP would impose a tax on all imported food items should it form the next government. Morgan was responding to a story published by RJR News in which Dr. Campbell is reported to have made the comments at a PNP meeting in Southeast St. Elizabeth earlier this week. According to Morgan, such a move would only cause pain for Jamaicans.
No, the controversy now is, did the opposition spokesman actually suggest that there would be the implementation of a tax? And I want us, Bugs, to play what Dr. Campbell said. We've managed to get the audio, and we apologize, listeners, in advance. The quality is a bit poor, but here is what Dr. Campbell said.
What is it that we need to do to make agriculture work? There are several things that we need to do. And if you move around, you will hear them from the different persons. So, a few years ago, Comrade Patterson was there. Comrade Baldwin was in charge of technology. And the People's National Party decided that we were going to put out a tax on incoming calls into the country. And we created what was called the Universal Access Fund. They now call it Universal Service Fund. That is what you see is putting up all of these hotspot internets across the different communities in Jamaica. And then a few years after that, I believe Aluna Samba was in tourism. We decided that we're going to put a little tax on each passenger coming into the country. We created what? TEF. And that is what is building out the tourism product in Jamaica. Now is the time that we must put a little thing on the importing food into the country and create an agricultural fund so that we can support agriculture in Jamaica. So that's point number one. That agriculture has to be a priority, and there has to be a dedicated fund that is able to respond to the needs and to build out the sector.
And thanks to our colleagues at RGR for making it available to us. Dr. Campbell joins us now. Good evening, Dr. Campbell.
Good evening, and good evening to your listeners.
Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year to you and your family.
Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Campbell, when you say add a little thing, isn't it fair to interpret that in the context of all you said before as a tax? You talk about the USF, you talk about the...
Yes, it is. No, yes, it is. I can understand why persons would have gotten that interpretation from what was said. The point I'm making, though, is that this is not the first time I'm making the proposal. It was said in a way that would lead to that interpretation, but we have absolutely no plans to impose a new tax. On imported items, there's already a common external tariff and an additional stamp duty on some of the items. For example, Irish potato currently has a common external tariff of 40%. Onions, same 40% plus an additional stamp duty of 35%. The proposal is that we need to have an agricultural development fund in place that will pull from a percentage of those stamp duties and tariffs that will go to a specific fund to build out the agricultural sector, because at times you do have disasters, as happened last year with Beryl and then Raphael and then just heavy rains. You have to wait on a warrant from the Ministry of Finance, which may take a while. You may miss the window. In order to assist farmers, you need to be able to have a fund that is specific so that we can build out the local agricultural sector. What needs to be done? We're talking about preparation, so land preparation, having plows and tractors. That is currently a hindrance to most of the farmers. Funding. Some of that fund could go to the PC Bank so that we can make funding available to young people, especially, for them to go into farming, so they can get equipment, so they can get planters, so they can get drones for spraying, so they can get harvesters, and so we can adopt to newer technology and go with hydroponics and those other things. The idea is that the country's importation bill in 2016 was at 848 million US, and in 2023 it was at 1.379 billion US, an increase of 65%. What we want to do is to take some items out of the importation basket. And I've said in 2 years, we're going to put a plan in place for 2 years to take Irish and onion out of the importation basket, meaning we have produced enough locally so we can satisfy the demands. And then we are going to also use the funding to focus on export-led and driven agricultural produce. So the conversation is getting lost because of how that was said. And I take responsibility for that, because it is open to that interpretation, and that is my fault.
Okay, so then I want to be clear.
I'm a little bit more verbose than that to communicate it better. But there is absolutely no intention of a incoming PNP administration to increase taxes on imported food items.
If I could just
there, and we'll take a percentage to put into a fund.
If I could just follow up, Sanjay. So you said that the tax is already there, but in the clip you say you wanted to add a little thing.
And I'm telling you that we just went over that.
So I'm just trying to understand what is the addition.
There is no addition.
Okay, so why was that word used?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say addition.
You say you wanted to add a little thing.
Add a little thing.
No, what I want. You see, this is what I don't want.
No, man. No, Doctor.
Hold on.
Okay.
Just let me express myself. What I don't want is to give the impression that I'm trying to justify what I said.
Understood.
I said it off the bat when you asked the question. Yes. I understand that persons would have gotten to that interpretation of what was said.
Right.
Or is it though,
said in a way
Dr.
by
Campbell?
me that would have led them to get to that interpretation.
Okay, so I suppose my question
what
then.
the idea is about.
So I suppose my question then is: do you with
fund in place to transform the agricultural sector? That's what the idea is.
Okay, so are you withdrawing the use? Are you withdrawing the use of the term add a liquor thing?
I'm withdrawing all of that. I'm saying the idea, the gravamen of the discussion is that Jamaica land we love, with 250,000 registered farmers, needs to have an agricultural development fund so we can transform the agriculture.
I hear you, Dr. Campbell, but hold on, Dr. Campbell, because I think I hear you, and I know you want to move past that, but I think the clarity is important. Now, you made mention of the TTF.
Yes, actually, Doctor.
You made mention of. Hold on. You made mention of what the other import taxes. So you were talking about taxation.
Yes.
And then you said, so you're going to add a little thing. Is it, Dr. Campbell, you meant taxation, but when you saw the backlash on social media, the party quickly retract the statement that was made. Nothing is wrong in saying that that's what you meant. And after looking on the response from the Jamaican people, hold on, Dr. Campbell, and after looking at the response from the Jamaican people, you have now decided to retract what you meant, which is taxation.
Listen now, you clearly have something that you want to say. Right?
No, Dr. Campbell, I'm following. No, hold on, let me stop you there. I am, wait, Dr. Campbell, no, you're not going to come. No, Dr. Campbell, you're not going to come and try to suggest anything. I am going based on what you said in that clip.
Did you not say it? Is somebody else said it?
All right, hold on, Dr. Campbell.
Something you want to say?
Dr. Campbell.
I'm trying to answer your question.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So
can
we just get the question? Okay.
To you, you've asked a question, and I'm trying to answer your question. I am saying to you, there is no plan to include additional taxes. I have made this proposal before. We're making the proposal, making it clear that we're going to take a percentage of the tariff and the stamp duty, those taxes that are already there, and we're going to put them into a specific fund and what the fund would be required to do to transform the sector. For 3 years, the People's National Party has been saying 3 C's, that there's corruption, there's crime, and there's a cost of living crisis. We have gone on to say cushion the crisis. I would not be coming to make a proposal to say increase it. I understand, though, that the way it was said, it led to that interpretation, and I admitted that off the bat.
Understood.
What this conversation is about is having a conversation about what I've already clarified, as opposed to what the gravamen of the situation is.
All right.
That we have an importation bill that has increased by 65%.
Yes.
We have a sector that employs 20% of the population, but only contribute 9%.
All right. So here's the question now.
Any item from the importation basket. We have government members who are important.
Dr. Campbell, this is a conversation, so you have to allow us,
to actually go and focus on our local.
All right. Here's the question. You provided excellent context just now. You said your party has been on the message of reducing the cost of living crisis, etc. And so I imagine you understand why it would be strange, if not downright bizarre, that you could have had such a slip of the tongue to say that you would add a little thing in the context of discussing taxes. And I'm saying to you, the Jamaican people hold on. Let me ask the question, please.
Go ahead.
And so the Jamaican people would like to understand how that could have happened. Right. How did you formulate those words to add a little thing, and what is that little thing?
My turn.
Yes.
Oh, God, what is that little thing? I am already saying I understand the interpretation. It seems you didn't expect me to accept it, so you can't get
No. A little thing suggests that there's a quantity. Is it 2%, 5%, 1%, 10%?
Context. Oh, Lord have mercy. The context, when I referenced the other two things, I was speaking to the fund. The Universal Service Fund, how it is helping the technology.
Yes, they add a little thing. They add a little thing.
Can I answer the question, please?
Sure.
And how the tourism enhancement fund, how it's building out the tourism product. So those were mentioned, not in the context of saying that I would tax, because those are not the same type of taxes anyway. The tax to pay for the Universal Access Fund is not something that Jamaicans pay. So clearly that was not the point. The point was about the need for a fund that is specific to the sector that will be able to transform the sector. That's the point that was being made.
Okay, so let me ask you then, Dr. Campbell, where is it that you're suggesting that the money come from to put in that fund that you're speaking of?
This is why I say you're not listening to me, because I said we're going to take a percentage of the tariff that already exists. 40% common external tariff, CET, currently is paid on the importation of Irish potato. 40% is paid on onions, along with an additional stamp duty of 35%. It is a percentage of those things that we're going to the specific fund to transform the agricultural sector.
Mm-hmm. And this transformation, explain to the listeners how you see that transformation happening.
Right. So agriculture, as I've been saying, is a critical area. We currently have at least 250,000 registered farmers. Agriculture only contributes 9% to the GDP, and there's been a 65% increase in our importation bill. We haven't removed any item from the import basket. The idea is to produce enough so we can become self-sufficient in some of these items. Clearly, we won't be self-sufficient in everything, but I have identified Irish potato and onions as 2 areas of target. In 2014, Roger Clark of Blessed Memory took Irish potato out of the importation basket. We became self-sufficient. We were producing enough. The minister said that we use currently 21,000 tons of Irish potato in Jamaica annually. If we know that, we know what the yield is per acre, we can decide how many acres we need to plant. And that's what I'm saying, that we need to focus on the local agriculture or local farmers so that they can develop and earn and take care of their families. Mm-hmm. In St. Elizabeth last year, we had farmers complaining they had onions that were spoiling in the field because of the blatant importation. 1 ton issuing of permits that is taking place that is leading to glut and leading to loss of supplies of those farmers. I am saying that we want to protect our Jamaican people. We want to protect our Jamaican produce. Eat what you grow and grow what you eat. We want it to be a reality where we can produce enough for ourselves, and then we can have export-led agricultural production through supporting those areas.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about getting land to people, getting funding to them, if I explain to you now the cost of production of an acre of carrots, and I was to tell you that you could go in one of the agro parks that we currently only at 30% with production. You could get 10 acres of land, put the carrot in production, and it would make your salary at Nationwide for 5 years. You would want to go. The hindrance to you going is the upfront cost that you would need. If there's a specified fund that sends some of the money to the PC bank, where you could go and give access to it and then pay back from the produce, the sale of the produce, you would be more enticed to go into agriculture. What we want to do is get more persons in it.
If you cannot, as the opposition spokesman, communicate policy in a way that is clear and does not lead to this kind of controversy, why should the Jamaican people trust that you've thought these plans through?
I can communicate them as I am doing right here.
No, but when you were originally communicating it, you made a mess of it. You made a mess of it. You used words that convey something completely different and cause 24 hours of controversy for your party. And I'm asking you, why should the Jamaican people trust that you have these things thought out, that if on a political platform you couldn't communicate it clearly?
Well, the Jamaican people can trust that I have never come to the Jamaican people and said something that I could not substantiate. I am evidence-based and data-driven.
But you just had to retract. You just had to retract Ada Licketing. You couldn't substantiate Ada Licketing.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. I am explaining the statement. You're talking about a 30-second clip that you got and not the full presentation.
1 minute, what we just played was actually more than a minute long.
That section.
Yes, okay.
Mm-hmm. And I'm here with you now, explaining the views. You're talking about the amount of farmers that have reached out to me and farming associations saying they love the idea and they hope that it is something that is realized. People understand the need to transform agriculture, and they understand that this fund will go a far way to transform it. I'm sorry that I'm human and I can make mistakes. Right?
Okay, Dr. Campbell, but hold on now. Let us look on the proposal that you're putting forward, because I remember having the same conversation.
I'm sorry, Sanjay. I don't think I heard the response to why they should trust you if you can't communicate the policy clear. I don't think I heard the response to that, Dr. Campbell.
I have said I am evidence-based and data-driven. I have done the research. I have consulted with the farmers. They know that the proposals that I'm putting forward will transform agriculture for good for the Jamaican farmer. They know that they will be able to earn based on these policies that we're coming with import substitution and export-led agriculture. The people of Jamaica will benefit from having better quality food at a reasonable price. Because not only are we going to ramp up production, we're going to deal with the storage of the production, ensure that there's markets for it, ensure that we have proper extension services from RADA, ensure that at all times we know what is under production, how much of it, and we can put the farmer in contact with the final user so that they can get fair value for their produce. We don't want a farmer planting melons, getting $50 per pound, and by the time it's in the supermarket in Kingston, it's for $300. We want that farmer to be able to be in touch with the supermarket, with the hotel, so that they can get a fair value for their produce.
Isn't part of
Jamaica will listen to me on the campaign trail, and they will hear the plans that I have.
Part of the problem?
Those who will never support me will hold on to this moment and say whatever they want to say. The rest of the people who are listening objectively will understand what it is that the government of the party is and what we're trying to achieve for agriculture.
Isn't part of the problem you find yourself in now is based on the fact that the Jamaican people sort of have bad memories of PNP governments that imposed taxes in almost every budget? Isn't that part of the problem that you're having now facing?
The Jamaican people, based on the last opinion poll, 9% more of them are planning to vote for the PNP.
Yes, and you may have done damage to that. You may have done damage to that over the last 24 hours.
It might be more than 9. The Jamaican people are appreciative of the Universal Service Fund that the PNP put in place.
Yes.
They're appreciative of the TF that the PNP put in place, NHT that the PNP put in place, the things that this government is using to take credit now. That are PNP legacy, the PNP DNA.
But you're not denying that part of the problem you have is that history of high taxation.
No, pundits, you have that problem. We don't have that problem. Our track record is there. We haven't gotten everything right, but we have gotten more right than we have gotten wrong.
Yes.
Our history is there for everyone to see. The highways that you drive on, the house that you live in that you get from NHT, all of those things, the schools that were built, the hospitals that were upgraded under the PNP, the drug for the elderly program, the NHF, all of those things in the society that currently cause people to live a good quality of life. PNP DNA.
One of the things, Dr. Campbell, I want to look on the proposal that you have put forward, and I had the very conversation with Michael Phillips calling for the reintroduction of the Road Maintenance Fund. Why do we need to create all these different types of funds? And one of the things that was discussed a couple of years ago by financial analysts is that it's a messy state of affairs. When you collect those monies, put them in various funds. Why not put it in the consolidated fund? And then the Ministry of Finance can allocate to the respective ministries the amount to be utilized. Why there's the need for all these different types of funds?
Several reasons. One, you are taking something from within the same sector to build for the local players in the sector. The local farmers in Jamaica, if you get on the road and speak to them, they will tell you the challenges that they have, right? And so you want to have a dedicated fund to transform and modernize that sector. Two, when you have to wait on a warrant from the Ministry of Finance, it may take longer than expected, and you may miss the planting window, the opportunity for persons to get out there. When you have a dedicated fund, it is much easier for you to be able to implement some of the things. It's much easier for you to be able to go out there and do the land preparation, get the seeds, get the fertilizer to the persons, get the sprays and all of those things so that the people can get the things in the ground and get them producing. After a disaster, you've seen that the country decreased by 3.5%. Agriculture contributed 12.5%. Clearly, there needs to be a plan for agriculture to rebound. In order for agriculture to rebound, we must put things into production. So you want to be able to respond and do that in a timely manner and do it in a more comprehensive than a piecemeal manner where somebody loses in St. Elizabeth $500,000 due to the hurricane and they get a 50-pound bag of fertilizer and a pack of seeds.
Then maybe, Dr. Campbell, you should speak about the inefficiencies in government rather than creating all these different funds that, as far as I'm concerned, is a messy state of affairs.
Why is it messy?
Because, as I indicated earlier, you have all these different funds that different individuals can draw on. And the government will have to go to Parliament if they want to transfer some fund from that one to another or to the consolidated fund. We saw it with the Road Maintenance Fund, Dr. Campbell.
And you saw what happened to the roads when we cut out the Road Maintenance Fund. We have the roads in the
I see no evidence, Dr. Campbell, of the Road Maintenance Fund when it was in operation doing anything that was significant that we can be proud about.
As a former member of Parliament, I can tell you that the main roads used to be patched twice. Right? They were left and totally neglected. And that is the reason why you have potholes that have taken over all of our roads. And everywhere you drive, you see 2 cars parked on the side of the road because they've had punctures of their tires. Everybody in the country, including the government, accepts that the roads are in a terrible state. The government recently declared a state of emergency for the roads.
And you don't need a road maintenance fund. Just as how the proposal that you're putting forward, you don't need the fund, Dr. Campbell, to fund the agricultural sector. You don't need that fund to fund road maintenance. You don't need that.
Because we did not have that problem then. When we had the road maintenance fund in place, we did not have that problem.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes, sir.
Your final word to the Jamaican people now. You say that you believe that they have accepted your clarification. You accept that you said what you said clumsily. You say you withdraw it. And your final word to them this evening.
My final word to the Jamaican people is that I want to wish them a happy new year. I want for them and their families to have good health throughout this year. I want for them to be able to live in a society where they can grow up and realize their full potential. I want for children to get a better future than their parents did. I want for us to have a government of dignity that can accept when they're wrong, and a government that is not made up of corrupt individuals who are trying to enrich themselves. I want for us to draw closer to God and to allow our lives to depict a life that is pleasing to Him.
I suspect we'll have many more conversations in the coming 9 months. Thank you so much for your time.
I suspect we will. Blessings continually, my brothers.
All the best.
Dr. Dayton Campbell is the PNP General Secretary, the opposition spokesman on agriculture. We take the break, and after the break, Matthew Samuda, the Minister with responsibility for water.
GK1 now introduces third-party motor insurance from GK General Insurance. Download and log into the GK1 app, then select one of 3 affordable third-party options. The time by GK General Insurance is
7 o'clock.
It's flu season. Take DPH adult or children's formulation and eliminate your sniffling, coughing, sneezing, and itching. The temperature by DPH, minimize the symptoms, maximize the relief, is
27 degrees Celsius here in Kingston, 25 out west in Montego Bay.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Informative, educational, insightful. Let's talk justice. Tackling topics like constitutional rights and reform, domestic violence, and rights issues that affect you. Let's talk justice every Mondays from 1 to 2 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Call in, share your thoughts, be empowered, know your rights, and let's talk justice.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With this thing, Honey Bee.
And Karim Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you said?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Really try. Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Stay ahead of the curve with our cutting-edge reporting and accurate breaking news coverage.
We're having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Hear it here first on Nationwide 90 FM. Tune in, turn up the volume, and listen. We bring a mix of news, entertainment, and sports to your lives.
Nationwide 90 FM's live and continuous coverage of the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary.
News and discussions week mornings.
Coming up in the news at 6 for this morning.
Entertainment in the afternoons, then news again in the evenings.
Nationwide news at this hour. Fired.
Also, tune in to the entertainment and sports shows in the nights and on the weekends.
It is Boy Things After Dark right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
Everything is news, from current affairs and entertainment to sports, business, and other categories.
Nationwide 90 FM. This is Benjamin. Give it to them. Zaga, Zen.
From every whisper to every commotion.
That's rubbish. The KSAMC cannot investigate itself.
Every news story unfolds here first at Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Every sound is a story, and every story we share is news.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We move now from agriculture to water. Yeah, residents of Port Royal in East Kingston will now benefit from an improved water supply system following the commission of a new pipeline. On Tuesday, the installation was done at a cost of $533 million.
Speaking at the commissioning ceremony on Tuesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the upgrade will improve the access to potable water for residents and visitors. According to the Prime Minister, the upgrade is one of several being done to improve the sunken city. He says the investments form part of the government's plan to make Port Royal an economic hub.
It is an entertainment and festival destination. But to be able to have that to the extent where it adds significantly to our GDP, we have to make these significant investments. So you're going to see now more hotels come. You're going to see the restaurants improve. And we are going to make the investment, not to displace the people who are here, who have built an industry, a name and a brand, but to support them further in improving and expanding their product. So that when we talk about Port Royal as a destination now, this is going to be the place where people will choose to come and have their festivals and concerts, where cruise ships will come to explore the rich history that is here. So Port Royal is going to become a new economic hub for Kingston.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness there. Meanwhile, the Minister with responsibility for water, Matthew Samuda, says the commissioning of the new pipeline represents a promise kept. He joins us now. Good evening, Minister.
Good evening. Happy to be online and wishing you listeners a happy new year as well.
Happy New Year to you too. Thank you so much for joining us. Minister, some people might say Port Royal, not a lot of people live over Port Royal. Why the focus on Port Royal?
Well, let's start from the perspective that all Jamaicans should have potable water. And this government will invest in all Jamaicans getting that access. So Jamaica has accepted for a long time that all citizens should have potable water by way of SDG 6 and by way of Vision 2030. So Port Royal has 2,500 citizens. We've ensured that they can tick that box. But I don't want anyone listening to feel that Port Royal is an anomaly. We have 42 small community projects similar to Port Royal underway now. We have 21 large transmission mains being worked on as we speak. So this is not unique. It's important, but not unique.
And how does improving the water infrastructure ties more into this broader vision of which the Prime Minister spoke about, which is transforming Port Royal into an economic hub?
Well, potable water, sanitation, it de-risks larger investments. Ultimately, you're not going to expect that people will be investing in housing or hotels or entertainment hubs if there's not basic infrastructure, whether it be parking, whether it be roadway access, whether it be potable water. So this is a significant investment to support the work that we've been doing on the cruise ship hub, which is very visible and already yielding fruit.
And Minister, obviously you said Port Royal is not an exception, it's not an anomaly. Talk to us about some of the other major water investments that are in the pipeline, no pun intended. This, what is it, $533 million on this one alone. What are some of the other major ones in the pipeline?
So for this year, Ricardo, you have 21 major capital investments, and those investments are investments above 50 million Jamaican dollars. And you have 42 community investments. But outside of that, I'd just like to share with you some of the major things that are happening. So one is the Rio Cobra water treatment plant. That plant will see some $93 million invested by way of a PPP in providing 15 million gallons daily into the corporate area for treated water that will be sold to consumers. That's one. Two, Western Water Resilience, as we've dubbed the project, which will see new pipelines laid from Martha Brae all the way into the center of St. James, and from the Great River Treatment Plant all the way into the western end of Negril. Major project. You'd have also seen recent announcements from the Prime Minister's page related to irrigation. That will see the completion of both the Southern Plains project as well as the Essex Valley project, and the commencement of the Pedro Plains irrigation project, which will see some $209 million invested into St. Elizabeth by way of irrigation scheme. So that's three. Four, we're actively delivering tanks to consumers and to small households, which is pretty important. It's tertiary storage. It's fragmented. It's not the sort of large project that, most ministers like to cut ribbons for, but it will see significant increases at the household level rather of storage for consumers. So we're doing a lot of work. Mahir, we're doing a lot of work, Ricardo, right across the length and breadth of Jamaica. Every community is benefiting. Every parish has major projects, major investments going on. Port Royal is not an anomaly.
I want to speak a little bit about Kingston and St. Andrew, because I hear you about the project for Kingston and St. Andrew, but we know, Minister, when you have drought, we have the problem in Kingston, the wider area, St. Andrew, where individuals are not able to have water because we see the development happening very fast. It's outpacing the systems that we have in place. Based on what you have just discussed with us, is it that you have a projection to say over the next 2 or 3 years, we will not have that problem when there's a drought, we don't have water stored that can supply all those individuals in Kingston and St. Andrew?
Well, Mahiri, you started with a
Sanjay.
As opposed to a question. You started by saying we know. So the first thing that the public should know is that in February 2022, you had the worst drought in Kingston and St. Andrews history. All right? And in that drought, you were short 12 million gallons daily. Right? And based on that, this government has moved forward a PPP, which will see a treatment plant built at St. Catherine content, which will see a plant that is able to supply 15 million gallons daily into Kingston and St. Andrew and Port Royal. From a source water perspective, you don't have that challenge. Right? But the public should also be very clear that in February 2015, you required 55 million gallons daily into Kingston and St. Andrew. In February 2025, you will require 38 or 37 million gallons daily in Kingston and St. Andrews. So think about that, Mahiri.
Sanjay, it's Sanjay, Minister.
Sanjay. Sorry, apologies. The voices are getting crossed. But, Ricardo, I'm assuming it's still Ricardo.
Yes, this is still Ricardo.
Yeah. So let me have the mathematical discussion with Ricardo then. Let's look at it. 37 million gallons required now. down from 55 million gallons in 2015. So despite all the development, all the high rises, all the new roads, all of the investment made in Kingston and St. Andrew, there's a significant reduction required in the daily water usage for Kingston and St. Andrew. And that is because this government has invested heavily in the Water Commission. We have cut leaks, we have cut theft, and we have engaged communities. So, despite all the high rises, despite all the new hotels, despite all the new buildings you've seen, Sanjay and Ricardo, we require less water for Kingston and St. Andrew than we did 10 years ago. And that is a statistical fact, and that is on the basis of significant investment made by this government in the corporate area. And with that investment, we're at 37% NRW, which is leaks, theft. We expect to be in the range of about 21% in about 2 years, which is in the range of several boroughs of New York.
So is it fair then to say that you expect that the development that we're seeing across the capital, that the water infrastructure and sewage systems will be able to keep pace with what we're seeing?
It is already keeping pace, and we expect it to facilitate growth in the metropolitan area, yes.
Mm-hmm. The Prime Minister spoke a bit about how important it was that the government was able to execute these major projects without having to borrow. As the minister with the responsibility, oversight for the NWC, talk to our listeners a little bit about how they've been able to do that in terms of keeping their operational costs in line so that they don't have to come to government for financing and support.
Well, all of us have experienced the increases in basic costs, right? The Ukraine war, the post-COVID environment has sent consumer costs through the roof. We've also seen significant increases by way of the new labor relations, by way of the reclassification exercise that all the unions would have agreed. The increase in costs to NWC, and I think this is very important for your listeners to understand, Ricardo, is over $400 million monthly that NWC has to find for the new labor relations related to NWC staff, and we've not come to the market for increases in tariffs. These things need to be understood, but yet we're doing more investment in infrastructure than has happened in my lifetime or your lifetime. So these things shouldn't be scoffed at or laughed at. These things should be acknowledged and regarded as major wins in the infrastructure for our present and our future. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't have infrastructure investments that don't require outside investment. It is why we're doing a PPP for $92 million around the Rio Cobra project. And there are others that we will do PPPs. But the government is not minded for new debt. It's not minded to accept local borrowing. It's minded to build on what we have.
Yeah. Matthew Samuda is the Minister with responsibility for water. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, Sanjay, not Mahiri, and all of it.
Have a good one, Minister.
All right, yeah.
16 minutes after 7. It's time for you to have your say. You know the numbers, 630-937-124, 618-8255. And my gosh, spare a thought for the people of Los Angeles. The scenes, the pictures, the images, just horrific. Absolutely horrific.
Yeah.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads Podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We're taking your calls now. The numbers 630-9371-4, 618-8255. Alex, you're first. Good evening.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Sanjay. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
How are you?
I am excellent and improving. First, I would like to say Happy New Year to you both and also Happy New Year to all the staff of Nationwide.
Thank you. Same to you.
Yeah, man. So, let me be clear. I am a supporter of the government. And this evening I want to speak on the comments made by Dayton Campbell, Dr. Dayton Campbell, regarding setting up a levy by implementing taxes on imported agricultural produce, similar to what was done with the Universal Access Fund.
I gather from what you just said, you either didn't, you have not accepted his clarification, or you didn't hear his clarification just now.
No, I definitely listened to his clarification, but I am not convinced.
Okay.
I am not convinced because when I listened to the interview, what he started to do was to put some window dressing on what he says. I think he's basically walking back his initial remarks because he's feeling the heat from the Jamaican public.
So you're not convinced that that was not what he meant.
No, I'm not. I am not convinced.
Okay.
And I mean, as I said before, I definitely see where he's walking back his comment after he felt the heat from the Jamaica public. The Jamaican public who have become accustomed to having no new taxes over the last 8 years.
Well, I put it to him in a listener. Remember I did, and he indicated that he was misinterpreted, and that's why he's providing the clarity.
But, Sanjay, to be honest, I have noticed a pattern within the opposition, and it has happened several times. A spokesperson will come out and make a statement, and then the opposition leader will come out and after the public, finds the statement unfathomable, the opposition leader will come out, make some clarification that this is not the PNP position, and then you see a walk back. So it begs the question. How should these people convince us when we go to the polls to give them a chance in office when they don't have their policy priorities properly fleshed out? Because it has become consistent. I recall even earlier with when we were having the compensation review, and it reached the parliamentarian side of things. Julian in Parliament would have came out and said, endorse what needed to be done. Then the opposition leader come out and hit the government hard on it. Then Julian walked back. And then you had other issues where Mikhail, give the thumbs up to some of the things that Minister Vaz have been implementing. And then the opposition leader comes out and then he withdraw himself from the endorsements of the policy. So
it's called politics, my brother. Politics.
Yes, it's politics, but the optics of it, the optics of it show us, the public, is that there is not coherence where policy is concerned. And I want to make one more thing before I leave you this evening, gentlemen. The government has done well in terms of reducing the debt, and I can say both administration, from the subsequent PNP administration pre-2016 and the JLP administration over the last 8 years now going 9, has done well in terms of bringing down the debt. And one of the things, you would have heard EPAC saying that, listen, we need to rein in the public sector wage bill to the GDP. Now, I've always noticed that, we're always looking to find a way to create new agencies or new funds to resolve issues. And it's not just that we would put added taxes on the Jamaican people, which is inflationary, because I've always said that, look, what the persons who are owners of capital tend to do, they pass on the tax burden to us, the public. So not that it is only inflationary, but by setting up new agencies or new funds, to manage the resources for this, what you then do is add to the government, to the recurring expenditure, add to the government wage bill, and what that does, it takes away money that the government can use to pursue capital expenditure, like how the government is now pursuing the many water projects as well as the Sparks program. So what I'm leaving you with this evening, gentlemen, is that the People's National Party has sat down over the last 4 years, and it is clear and obvious to us, the Jamaican people, that they have not fleshed out their policy priorities in a way that will enhance the lives of Jamaicans without improving, without increasing taxation or in a way that will add additional cost to us paying public.
Thank you for the call.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Ricardo, before we go to the next caller, very good point made by that caller, the very last statement he made. Part of the challenge that we have, and we said it before, the People's National Party largely have been campaigning on what Daryl Vaz would call the misery index. What we're not hearing clearly is what is the position of the People's National Party on several things. And Mark Golding attempted that, I think, 2 conferences ago. But I don't think we're getting that clear policy from the PNP. And coming back to even the statement that the gentleman made, that there are times, more than once, that a spokesperson will make a comment that the opposition leader has to quickly come and do damage control. And I think what happened with Dr. Campbell is damage control that the opposition had to do. Because to this moment, Ricardo, the other little thing, you made reference to previous taxation that are in place, and then allude to agriculture and then say other little thing. But for whatever,
and then to suggest that you're going to simply take it from the existing.
Yeah, that's not adding a little thing.
That's not add, right? Words have meaning,
Yes.
But yeah, the Jamaican people, you've heard Dr. Campbell, you've heard his explanation. You can make up your mind. Some news out of the United States. President Trump will be sentenced tomorrow. He will officially enter the White House as a convicted felon. The U.S. Supreme Court has surprisingly, I'm very surprised, because usually they side with him, they have rejected his request to block the New York State judge from formally sentencing him tomorrow. The decision of the Supreme Court was 5-4. As you know, there are 6 conservatives on the court. The Chief Justice, joined by Justice Amy Coney Barrett, a conservative, they joined the 3 liberals, and they denied Donald Trump's request to save him from being formally sentenced tomorrow. So he will officially enter the White House as a convicted felon. 630-93.
Surprising, Ricardo,
it is surprising. 630-937-124, 618-8255. Chris, good evening.
Chris.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Chris.
Good evening. Are you hearing me?
Yes, man, clearly.
Yes, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
All right, very well. I have 2 points that I want to make. Please. One, quickly, I just want to congratulate Minister Horace Chang, Dr. Willie, Commissioner
Kevin Blake, Dr. Blake, Dr. Kevin Blake.
Dr. Kevin Blake. I went back to Williams. And I also want to congratulate all the commanding officers who have worked hard
Absolutely.
to see the reduction in crime.
Absolutely. I join with you in that.
I am pleased as a former member, a retired member for 1 year now, to say kudos to the men and women. To understand, we know that there are some rough edges out there where Dr. Blake will have to, whilst he has done the strategic move at the top, there are some areas where, there are some persons who they'll have to take them under close handling, and so that this reduction can continue. I won't be saying anything that will be bashing the members than saying kudos to them and to the partners, JDF, and the district constables who work tirelessly to see this reduction. For me, I am seeing and hearing sometimes it seems like crime can be politicized. But as a person who I support the party that drink those Heineken, I don't drink vodka. Because when you drink vodka, you have bad memory. You have bad memory like my friend Dr. Campbell.
Vodka is my favorite drink.
Yes, but it's not good, I'm told. It's made from Irish potato. When you drink it, especially when you drink it with those cranberry, you have to go and you might say some things like a friend of mine in our adjoining parish from where I live. And he said, Jesus, I was drinking some vodka. I'm sorry. And so and so. And you're going to have the leader to come out and apologize for you. I'm saying to you, yes, Dr. Campbell, 2-time member of parliament for Northwest St. Ann, came from Bamboo, St. Ann. Couldn't fix his gate. I don't want him to talk about road. When I wash my vehicle in Brownstone, I want to go to Kingston. I know I don't bother take the toll because the road is very long. And when you pass by that branch library, just across from his gate, you couldn't pass. You never want to wash your vehicle because it's Miss Lee, Crystal Lee, had to come from St. Mary, a student who came to Northwest St. Ann, St. Hilda's to school and fix that road. You understand? I don't know if he's having vodka, but this come like a 3-card thing or coding in domino. If you know domino games, you don't come with a plan. You don't play this partner regular. You want to code with him and you never know how to code. So you always have to be backpedaling, saying things and retracting it.
So Mark Golding is not used to playing with Dayton, and so he has to back.
No, and that is why Dayton had to run all the way from Northwest St. Ann, running down into Westmoreland. I don't know if he's going to run to Cuba next. You understand?
I see.
He couldn't fix Northwest St. Ann, the road. We have, in this area, really, Northwest St. Ann, Southwest St. Ann, we have a problem because one side of the road at one time was Northwest and one side was, well, they are still the same, but both MPs are from the governing party. I am now happy to report that I am seeing some road work. I hear that Spark supposed to come, but I have spoken to the MP Southwest St. Ann, Xavier Main, and I'm seeing some improvement in the road network. Hoping it will go a little bit further down the road there, down to Stewartown until Spark come. I'm hearing as well, and I sent you some message. I wanted you to ask Mr. Samuda that if the ground was broken for water to come to this section, Retreat, Brownstone, 21st of June, I'm hearing that next week there should be some start of that water project there. You understand? And I'm happy for even where Spark started. It started in East Kingston. I was kind of concerned at one time when I hear say it started, so because I'm going to say bad mind again. I want that man that from Portland to be the next information minister. I don't know if it's going to be a drop, but he can put it on the
From
plan.
Portland, who that?
Portland. Darrell Vaz.
You know, he was information minister. He was information minister one time, you know. Yes.
Yeah, man, under Bruce Golding. He want to get it back, you know, because he can talk well, you know, and him talk it truth. Me say bad mind at take place. And a man without a plan cannot get my endorsement.
But the Prime Minister just installed Dr. Dixon.
Yes,
pleased with her.
and a congratulator. But, you know, you remember that man from down in St. Elizabeth? Lie, Buchanan.
Donny Buchanan, yes.
Yes, man, you have to get a whip. They call him the whip. We have to have somebody that can stick up these people and tell them, no, what you're saying is not true. And I know Dayton well, he know me well. I'm not a hider. So he know me well, but he never do well in Northwest Centre, and I don't know how I'm going to go all the way to Westmoreland.
All right, have to run, leave you know.
Thanks for hearing
Yeah,
me.
man, have a good
And
one.
big up again to the police and the work they are doing.
All right, listen.
All the best. We have Joel next.
Okay,
Joel?
let's take a break and come back.
Enjoy the best coverage for the things you own and those you care about. Protect what matters most with life, health, and general insurance. The time by Sagicor Life and Advantage General is
7:34. Joel, good evening.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good enough, but somewhat disappointed.
Right.
And I have two very quick points that I would just want to share. To share with you guys and your listeners. One, I have some concerns about when we're playing partisan politics, especially with people's life. We usually use crime stats to evaluate if a government is controlling the crime wave in our country. That was always what we used. Nothing else.
Yes.
It's either with the crime going up or crime going down.
True.
And then we start to ask, what are the government crime plans?
Yeah.
We have recorded consecutive years of reduction in crime. And to listen to Peter Bunting as the opposition spokesperson, who was once a minister of national security, and he comes out and he endorsed the good work of the police, which is the operation side of the business, and failed to give credit to the minister. And I said, this is shameful and disgraceful. Because how are you not prepared to offer some level of congratulation to the minister? And
Politics.
then he went further to say then that if he had that level of funds when he was the minister, he would have created almost a miracle. I wonder if that man wonder what he had said to us. What that man said to us, as a listening public, was that the PNP failed then to have the resources to pump into fighting crime. That is exactly what he said to us,
The challenge, listener, is that both sides have played the political card as it relates to crime whenever they're in opposition. And that is the problem that we have. And I've said for a very long time that until we can take the politics out of crime, things like these will happen. Because what you find happening, the government, individuals put pressure on the government that we need to bring down the figures and need to bring it down drastically. And you have a plan in place, but the plan needs time to work. And then we stop that plan for a very long time. This is what we're doing. We implement a new crime strategy, and then the rate go up, and then we implement a new one, and then we're not giving it any time for the rate to go down.
Yeah,
Happily now we're seeing where the government is allowing for the police force to implement their strategy, and we're seeing it working.
But Sanjay, what you fail to share with the listening public, is that while the government was putting plans in place, they used state of emergency that was opposed by the opposition to use that to slow the movement of the criminal element. And while they were doing that, they were doing their recruitment drive, because what we needed was more boots on the ground. So you could have put pretty crime plan on paper without having the tool and the manpower to fight the crime monsters.
And very importantly, the funding.
And the funding. So without the funding and the manpower to fight the monster, then no matter what you want to put on paper, brother, it wouldn't work,
Yeah,
and pretty talk,
And I want to
pretty talk,
I want to also say, caller, if anybody who is reasonable steps back and looks at the situation, and I want to take the listeners as far back as when Robert Montague was the Minister of National Security, because I remember it so very clearly. I think it's called Operation Secure Jamaica. I don't quote me on the name of it, but I think that's the name of it. And I think it had 5 pillars or 6 pillars. Yeah? And if you read the document, you reckon, and I remember a lot of people reading it and saying, oh, but this doesn't give enough specifics and that kind of a thing. And I wonder to myself, where in the world do you think a government would put operational details in a document and publish it? But anyhow, and I read it and I thought, okay, so they have a strategic vision as to what they want to achieve. And it has been a long journey, yeah? And it's been a difficult journey because for so long, and even now, the murder rate is high. Crime has been a problem. But to say that the government, and yes, the minister, because I was saying to one of my colleagues, one thing with Chang, he keeps calm and he carries on. And he knows what he wants to do, and he's calm and he goes at it. To say that the government has not been strategic and has not tried step by step, as you said, boots on the ground, funding, border security, communication with international allies. If you look at it in a comprehensive way, it would be unfair and unreasonable in the extreme to suggest that they have not tried their very best at this serious problem.
Only a dishonest person.
I think it is very unreasonable. And I was saying to my colleagues as well that if you look in the rest of the region, they're facing the very same problems.
Trinidad.
Yeah, exactly. I was saying to my colleagues, if you could swap out Keith Rowley for Andrew Holness, and it's the same speech, the same problem with high-powered rifles, the same problem with mass shootings and mass killings, the same narcotics trade is the same problem. And they have gotten to the position where they have now had to have a state of emergency.
Yes,
and Keith, and Keith Rowley is saying we're acting upon the intelligence we have from the security forces that mayhem and chaos is imminent and we're trying to contain it. I don't know. The Jamaican people, as I've said for a long time now, will have to make up their minds as to whether they are serious about responding to this threat. It is an existential threat to the good governance and order of this society.
True.
And we can't continue. We cannot continue to just, oh, no, we're not going to do that because, and somebody shout out human rights or somebody shouts out the Constitution. It is an extraordinary situation that we are in, and it will require extraordinary measures.
True.
It will.
The last point that I just want to touch, and it was this interview you had earlier with Dayton Campbell.
Yes.
And, you played the clip because I too was somewhat concerned. And I actually searched all over until Nationwide came up, and that's why I referate Nationwide and a thumbs up again. At least you played something for us to hear exactly what.
And thanks to our friends at RGR for making it available because, we were trying to find it.
Yeah, please convey to them that Nationwide listening audience appreciated RGR sharing that clip with you guys. Because after listening to that clip and after you brought on Dayton Campbell, and the man almost wanted to take us down one other road, as if he did not say what he said, and it did not, and it didn't meant what he had said. And I say, brother, stop take people for fool, no man. We have gone past the phase of people fooling us up now. We're in an election here. This is election year.
Yes.
And here is it that this is a spokesperson for agriculture coming on national airwave and literally take Jamaican people for fool. To the point, a matter of fact, I don't even know if you guys were listening to yourself and him and how he was almost like trying to push you guys to the curb. At one stage, it seemed as if it was almost like a monologue. He just wanted to take over. He just wanted, and I'm saying,
Dr. Campbell has a settled style in interviews. He tries to dominate the space so that the questions don't get out. He starts responding after the first 2 words or 3 words. He has a settled style.
Yeah, man, but it doesn't work because guess what? There are a lot of people out there who are sensible and we are smart enough to realize now that he's playing a game, because here is it that you want to give the airtime but no questions being asked. But before I go, though, I just want to ask, the very same proposal that he is trying to now make, don't we have RADA doing the very same? Isn't it the very same function that RADA plays?
Right.
Yes, which is why I made the point that do we really need to create an additional fund? Why not just...
And you were spot on, Sanjay.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, and I think this is where you guys miss the mark, because we have RADA. We don't want to create nothing more again. We have RADA.
Right. So in the rest of the clip, he does go on to talk about RADA and how and why he believes it's failing. He made comments about it being something akin to a political arm of the government and that kind of a thing. So he was very critical of RADA.
And that is the problem that I have, Ricardo, because we're not fixing the problem. So in a sense, what he's suggesting then is RADA is bedeviled with problems. Leave RADA and go and create a new fund to fix the problem. Why not just fix RADA?
Exactly. Because you realize what he really wanted to go on the campaign and to say these are some of the things that were implemented under the People's National Party, because he was trying to reel out a lot NHT and he was going down a long list. So what they want to do is to abolish RADA and create something similar to RADA and say, oh, we are the one who created this one. But guess what? I think the Jamaican electorate are smart enough, and we should say exactly what Kamala had said. We're not going back. Have a good night.
All right, my brother.
Before we go to the next caller, Ricardo, Kenyatta Powell, he says, please remind the caller that the opposition gave the government several SOE extensions, except that human rights and the Constitution are not things to be hand-waved away.
Okay, so I respond to Kenyatta as I've always responded to him when he makes that flaccid point. The problem with the point, Kenyatta, as I've explained to you so many times, is reality confronts you. The SOE extension was for how long? And how much can that achieve in the context of, he's talking about when Dr. Phillips would have agreed, and even I think when Mark Golding just became PNP president, but for how long? The kind of levels of crime we have in this country requires a sustained response. And it's not going to be 2 weeks, and it's not going to be 3 months, and it's not going to be 6 months. It's not even going to be 12 months. It requires a sustained response. So Kenyatta should stop raising that flaccid point. 630-937-124, 618-8255. Andrew, good evening.
Yeah. Good evening, Ricardo, Sanjay.
How you doing?
Hi, Andrew.
Yeah, man, I sit down for my burner and listen to the conversation you're having with all and the caller, and first of all with Dayton Campbell, Yeah, so sit down here and they laugh and say, hold so long, kind of burn off some of my credit, but
sorry about that.
Sorry about that. No problem. My thing is, we have to laugh a while ago, because when me hear not talk to Mr. Campbell a while ago, this caller said it all in everything what he said before. Last 2 weeks ago, me I talked to one taxi driver, and it's same taxi driver, the different facts the PNP bring back in the country at this time. Because what the taxi driver as a comrade talking about a tax run country. So when them say tax run country, them agree with the PNP leader and the Gensec and all of them we care about the tax in the country from poor people. So I don't know, a strange thing come out when he making statement like that, he might come to put you up here. He don't say it already, and that they mean. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And that they mean. So, I don't know how it go from here, so because if the people don't can't take him serious, in our show, no way.
So you think in the what has happened? I'm hearing back myself. You think in what has happened with the comment that people just won't take him seriously anymore?
No. Mm-mm.
Why?
No, Ricardo.
Why?
He said things now and 24 hours after the leader come out and they try to spin it around and it done gone out already. So, come like I say, he can't take it back again because him don't say it already. Because of that they haven't planned to bring back tax and put it on we. But before my credit go, may I tell Carl as a supporter like me, and Bobby and them man, they want me to listen at daytime or evening time call. Me no want them take the poll what done and this do slightly or no other poll because there is something they're going in the direction of the PNP.
You think something is going in their direction?
Yeah, because the local government election say it all.
Okay.
You understand? So me no want them take the poll. Me no want them take no poll just slightly.
So people will have to go out there and work on both sides.
Because because what them a come out with, you know, they just want power, and that them a run for.
All right, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Save some of your credit. 630-9371-2461-88255. Richie, good evening.
Good evening, Mash. Ricardo and Mr. Sanjay.
What are you doing, Richie?
I am in agreement with that call I know in terms of Daniel support. To me, it's plain politics. That's my opinion on that. But for the longest while, when I talk about the PNP, is one question I keep asking them: what is the plan now for the country? Because the plan is a roadmap, you know. It's a roadmap to see where we're going from here. So I'm asking David Campbell, do you know do you have a plan for the country? We want to get the money to do the things that you're talking that you're going to do. Where? Listen, me and talk about housing just house, which is the PNP that you live in. Listen me. You see the social housing program that Andrew have now given out to people. It's almost more houses more than what the PNP give in housing trust for the 20 years, you know. You hear me say?
I wouldn't go so far.
No, I don't think that's correct. That's not that I don't think. That's not correct, Richie.
No. It's not correct. It's not correct. But the point I'm making though, for the 20 years they are there, they don't give most people much houses. That's the point really the case, and that's honest. So I'm saying no, David Campbell, you need to come with a plan as a roadmap that we know we're going from here, and then we will believe that thing that you're talking about will happen because it can't happen. It's not possible. We, as laborites, do not believe the things that these people keep talking about because you see how the way they hear them come to play politics. The leader first plan was to give 1% of the budget to the people, which is 40. And put the budget on hold. We condemn it because it was not possible.
No. Just to be clear, Richie, he wanted to spend $40 billion to ease not to put the budget on hold, but he wanted to spend more on social services and social safety net to cushion the crisis. Just to be just to be clear.
But it would be for the budget, don't you say?
It would do what?
Where was the money coming from?
Well, he wanted to redirect funds. Yes, yes.
But I say no. The following year, whenever that financial year comes around, you would have to have that 40 billion to pay back plus the next budget.
Right. So that was delayed debt payments is what you mean. Okay. You said delay the budget. Oh, I see. Okay. Yes.
So to me, whenever the second turn come out, you would have to return to the IMF. We would have to return to IMF to borrow money, and he would not get it because the reason why I know he would not get it after this government have got 9 years of no new tax and him go back, he would not get it. So the country must crash right there. And next thing I hear him talk about Mama P plan. Mama P was the lady who promised to give what she didn't have, and she becomes a one-term prime minister. So in terms of his plan, he stopped talking about plans and not talking about no plans, and that is what we need to hear. Me hear him talk about hospitals that will refurbish. Which hospital? I wonder if you remember say Princess Margaret Hospital in St. Thomas was closed to a point where people are about to come in Kingston for health care. Dr. Dawes is a man who talk about using scandal bag as apron. You remember that? A lady died in the Maple Hospital because she couldn't find $8,000 to do that surgery. And I can go on and on. So
Just
what
a
they are all
correct,
doing with you?
just a correction, Richie. Portia Simpson Miller wasn't a one-term prime minister. She didn't serve 2 consecutive terms, but she was prime minister 2 times.
Well, I suppose he means 1 full term.
1 full term.
Yeah.
Full
Okay.
term. That's what
Just want to be clear. That's what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think that's what I mean. But the point
okay.
I'm making, brethren, you see, when those PMP people come, they just come to play politics, talk things which is not true, to mislead people who do not understand. And that is the problem I have with them. You know what I'm saying? We need to know the truth. People need to know the truth. So when the time comes, when the voting time comes, people are supposed to make an honest opinion on which party need to vote for. But for them to be playing politics and misleading people, we as Labour rights since are even uncommitted voters need to talk and tell the truth, make people who do not understand know the truth. Know the truth. That's my point.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Richie.
Thank you, Richie.
Can you take one more?
Yeah.
Stefan,
Yeah.
good evening. Stefan, good evening. We lost Stefan. 630-937-124, 618-8255. Sorry about that, Stefan. We may be able to take one more. Let's see what's going on YouTube. The Labourites are suggesting that victory is imminent. And John wants us to demand interviews with the opposition. John, whenever we have discussions, it is our practice here to extend invitations to both sides.
Yes.
We can only bring you the interviews that people agree to. We can't hold them down and force them. Yeah? Oftentimes, the answer is they're either occupied otherwise or they are unable to join us. But we are trying. We suspect that may change this year in the coming 9
it's
months.
election year. People want to put themselves out there.
Everybody will have something
Everyone is
to
accessible.
say and
Yeah,
to
man.
talk about.
If it's one time that you can get everyone, it's during an election year.
Looking forward
That's
to
for
it.
sure.
Sonia, that'll be it? Yeah. Sonia Stewart, super producer. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Dana Davey at home. Hope she'll be back tomorrow. Andrew Glenn Anderson. Thank you, sir. Our colleagues in the newsroom, led by our editor, Cara Powell. The best in the business. Best newsroom in the business. Our sponsors, contributors, and you, our valued listeners. We appreciate you so much. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to help us grow our business and build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy